York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome to the Thursday morning edition of the Main Street of York. It's the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK, 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK AM. Mark McKenzie is here this morning on this beautiful Thursday morning, where it is 70 degrees right now on Brooks Robinson Plaza here at Wellspan Park in the heart of downtown York. It is the 14th of August, 2025, and ready to start a brand new day with you and get things underway. It's going to be about 85 degrees today, so a little bit cooler than yesterday. It was about 91 yesterday, but still a little close, a little hot out there. And I always say when I turn my radio up because I hear myself talking in a little bit of a echo chamber. Mark McKenzie, as we said, is here this morning and always ready to do battle with the daily demons that are the board that he has to operate here. Yes. But anyway, it's great to be with you today. Looking forward to talking about all kinds of interesting things today.
All kinds of things.
Some inane things, some ridiculous things, some fun things, and some serious things. All kinds of things, if you will, is the kind of the thing for today. And it's all brought to you, by the way, by Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law. Yeah, they are a presenting sponsor. They are a law firm for today's business world with innovative legal solutions for your business. Here in York, they're at 100 East Market Street. I had to spit that out for a second and think about that in a momentary 6 o'clock brain zephyr. And they're open 9 to 5 daily. You can call them at 717-846-8888. That's 717-846-8888. And please tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you, and they are the title sponsor of our show. Let's see what today is. It's National Tattoo Removal Day, which is another one of these contrivances. I thought we had something like this earlier in the year, Mark, but maybe not. But how many of you that have gotten tattoos have removed them or have removed some of them, or they were, particular to the moment, with the person that you loved in that time or whatever, and you kind of got tired of when you met someone new and you got rid of that person and you got tired of explaining why that name was still on you. How many of you got that erased somehow? Is tattoo removal painful? I don't know much about it because I don't have any tattoos, Mark. We were talking about this earlier in the week. To have a tattoo or not to have a tattoo, that's the question. But someone told me one time it's kind of painful to get those removed. Have they gotten any better with that? I don't know.
I don't have one,
no.
So I don't have to have one removed. But, when you think about it, on one hand, it could be funny. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, it's becoming, more people have more tattoos, so it's becoming, maybe accepted.
Yeah, so there you go. National Tattoo Removal Day. What other kind of days do we have going on right now?
Well, it's funny you should ask because I happen to have a long list here.
Okay.
It is National Financial Awareness Day.
All right. Are you aware of your finances today?
I am.
Yeah.
It is National Navajo Code Talkers Day.
Navajo Code Talkers. Yikes.
Yes. Have you ever heard about the Navajo?
Or is that like the Whisperers and all that kind of stuff?
They made a movie about it because they used the Navajo
during the war or something, did they?
World War II. And it was not the kind of language, I guess, that was written down much. So it was a way to have a secret language, but one that the Navajo could easily speak. So they helped us win World War II.
There you go.
It is Wiffle Ball Day.
I always love wiffle ball. I didn't like the wiffle balls that had all the holes in them. What we used to do is take electrical tape and we would wrap the wiffle ball up, really beat the tape down so it got good and round, and you could curve it and do things with a wiffle ball that you could only dream of. You watch these guys throwing sweepers on TV and all that kind of stuff, and you could do that with these things, and they you could beat them a mile. I mean, it was really fun. So we get the wiffle ball, and then you'd wrap it all up, and that would be that. So it would be with electrical tape. It just works so well. I loved it. I played wiffle ball often, and I would also commentate, never thinking I would get paid for it someday, but I commentated on my wiffle ball, and so did, the person you were playing with. And we used to play in my backyard. We had rules. It was a single if it was off the wall of our back garage. If it was on the roof, it was a double. If it hit a certain part of the roof, it was a triple. And if it went over the roof, it was a home run. So many a day.
We used to do that. We used to do that at the what the heck was it called? Where I worked at Borden's Ice Cream. And in the winter, like in the summer, you know what you're doing. You're packing ice cream. But in the winter, there wasn't a lot to do. So we would take a ball of duct tape and we would go into the back area where initially during the summer would be packed with pallets, empty pallets, because we were shifting so much product, and it would be empty. So, but it had a line. So if you hit it above the line, that was a home run. And then we had different hits for different areas. And, we played that for a while.
Same thing. Yeah.
But it was on this date in 1953. You might say, so out of all the days, why is Wiffle Ball Day today? 72 years ago, David Mullaney Sr. noticed his son was having a difficult time playing baseball because he was always breaking windows or losing the balls on the school roof. So the kid apparently showed no skills of throwing a curveball. Anyway, so Mr. Mullaney took a round-shaped perfume carton and cut slots into both halves.
Okay.
And when he threw the new ball, if you will, it curved, and his amazing new invention was called the
wiffle ball.
Wow, it's like you were there.
So quick. I just, just clairvoyant.
Wow, it is Social Security Day. FDR signed Social Security Act
and we keep on to people too, I guess.
And the food holiday, not very satisfying.
Go ahead.
National Creamsicle Day.
Well, now, I tell you, there was a time when the creamsicle was really kind of a big deal. I mean, you heard the music coming in the summer. You knew the truck was coming with the creamsicles. I mean, to me, the cream, and it was only one kind of creamsicle you could really eat.
That's called a novelty.
Orange.
It's called a novelty.
I don't care. It was a creamsicle, and it was and it stood out by itself, and nothing tasted better than a creamsicle from the ice cream truck.
Now, I will say that there are some places that go the extra mile, and they make, the orange part either with sherbet or an orange ice cream and the vanilla. So it's a really stepped up version of a creamsicle. There's also, I think there's creamsicle vodka. I mean,
there's all kinds of cream. See, the fact that people have noticed that the creamsicle has a very unique place.
They're just desperate
in our society. No, I think you're being too harsh on the creamsicle. I really think that it has a place. I mean, it just. I'm not saying it's one of the 7 main food groups yet, but I'm just saying I think it's got a unique place in society when you're kind of between sherbet and ice cream, and you go, well, let's go with the creamsicle.
I remember the rocket. Remember the sherbet?
Oh, the rocket where you push the little thing up out of the holder.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
I liked it
until you got to the end, and then depression set in.
It's okay.
That was the worst part. You get to the end of that,
and then the Dove bars came out, and that was like a whole new. I mean, they really raised the bar there a little.
It's the same outfit that made the cream, right? Now, Dove. It was the same Dove. No, they didn't make it the same part of the factory, but I mean, they had like the face cream, the Dove face cream.
Oh, I don't think it's the same.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Really?
I am. Well, I will look it up.
You look it up, yeah.
I will.
You look it up.
Because, we can do. That's the kind of thing that we argue about, which doesn't affect.
Well, I'm not arguing.
We debate.
It seems unlikely.
Throw it out.
But you know what? I've seen enough stuff to know that
I've seen
it's possible.
The reason I say that is the little dove thing is the same on both.
The little bird, the little bird
and
dove.
It's like the icon, and I'm thinking that's what it is now.
Maybe
I could be wrong, but but I will check and see. I'm willing to be accountable for my words here. So,
Thank you.
What
That's
else do
good.
we have going today?
That's about it.
Okay.
I think that's enough. I
well-
mean, I think with the World Lizard Day, it's scraping the barrel.
Well, how about this? We have a question of the day today, and I'll bring this up in a little bit.
Uh-oh.
But it's it's up at Facebook, at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook. Cities like Gloucester and Wildwood, in New Jersey. Is it Gloucester in New
Yes.
Jersey? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think
That's how it is in New England.
I think they say it. I think in New Jersey they say it dove.
Gloucester?
They say dove. Oh no, Gloucester, New Jersey, and Wildwood, New Jersey, where
Yes.
I go to the shore.
Yes, Wildwood.
Are instituting laws that are making parents responsible for the actions of their adolescents. Is this an idea that should be used nationally?
Wait a second. They're not now?
No, I know. No, parents don't have to be liable. Maybe you have to put that word in liable instead of responsible, right?
Okay.
I think
You
that
mean
would be
legally?
legally, yeah. And so what's happening? is
Still, it doesn't make
Kid
sense.
goes down and raises hell at the beach.
Right.
Okay. I guess who's paying the fine? I guess who's stuck? The parents. So
Well, I mean, isn't the parent legally responsible for the child?
not necessarily.
Really?
Not necessarily. No. So is that an idea that should be used? Naturally, it seems like one that we should have had already.
You would think.
But it's not necessarily true.
As well, maybe they wouldn't accept going to your room without dinner.
Right. Well, I'll share the story here this morning to put a little bit more meat on this bone. And we'll take a break. Yeah.
Speaking of stories,
Right.
Remember the Python challenge we talked about the other day?
Yes.
Well, the numbers are in.
Go ahead.
And it's kind of shocking.
This is people going after pythons down in Florida
Right.
because they've infested the Everglades.
And there was this guy who, that's the story we had the other day, was that he was tearing it up. He was getting pythons left and right. He didn't win. And you won't believe who
he
won.
didn't win. I
He
can't
did
wait to
not
hear
win.
this story when we come back.
And other big ones. Go
ahead.
Can you imagine winning the Powerball and then getting arrested?
But then getting squeezed to death by a python?
It did
Man,
happen.
No.
One of the biggest and longest running video game franchises just got a little bit bigger.
Okay.
And let's see.
Will it never stop, these teases? So go ahead.
My favorite story of the morning is you've heard of love triangles,
Sure.
and even ones that have turned violent. Well,
Yeah.
this one turned violent, but it was senior citizens at a barbecue. There was some sort of love spat. Shooting was involved. I can't wait to hear a little bit more about it. So
All coming your way here.
just some of the stuff.
Yeah, on the Gary Sutton Show here on a Thursday morning on WOYK, where it is 6:17.
Today, a hope of many years standing is in large part fulfilled. The civilization of the past 100 years, with its startling industrial changes, has tended more and more to make life insecure. Young people have come to wonder what would be their lot when they came to old age. The man with a job has wondered how long the job would last. This Social Security measure gives at least some protection to 50 millions of our citizens who will reap direct benefits through unemployment compensation, through old age pensions, and through increased services for the protection of children and the prevention of ill health.
It is on this date, 90 years ago, 1935, FDR there signing the Social Security Act into law.
And one of the things that we talk about a lot in the American politics and the American experience, because it is something now that a lot of people are saying is, it's got a termination date kind of down the way, and how do we make it better, and how do we make sure that people can get 100% of what they're putting into Social Security back, all that kind of thing. So
I always like to tell people, and because I hear a lot of these arguments, and it's not, Social Security is not an investment. Okay, no. When they talk about privatizing it and, if you just put it in the market, well, that works if, the market is up when you retire. What if the market is down when you retire? So it's not an investment program. It is an insurance program. There's a base minimum guaranteed. And you want to go over
something.
Yes, yeah. If you want to go over and above that, that's what 401ks are for. You could also, you don't even need a 401k. You can invest on your own and get the benefits of the market and try your hand at that as well.
It's not like you're sitting around going, well, everything's going to be okay. I've got Social Security.
I've got Social Security.
No, it doesn't. It's not quite it.
Right.
More of a supplement to what you probably have planned in retirement.
If you could, but you think about back then, in the mid-30s, that was in the depths of the Depression.
And, people were dying in their 60s, at 60, 65. Now we're at 78, that kind of thing. And now it's a much different situation, even though Social Security has risen. But, 1 in 5 people in this country are getting paid Social Security right now. 1 in 5, I heard this morning. Which
it's
is kind
old. We're a little old.
Yeah, we are. And the baby boomers are coming to, they've come to that point, and, the other generations are following right on behind. So there you go. I have to throw myself in the punji sticks of truth here this morning. I thought that the Dove was the same one that made both. I was...
Now, made the soap and lotion and the chocolate.
And the chocolate bar with the ice cream in the middle. I was wrong.
You were duped.
I was wrong. Here I am. But I come to you and ask for mercy
with your palms high.
The Dove Soap Company that makes soap is actually owned by Unilever.
Okay.
And is based in the United Kingdom, making personal care products, including soaps. The Dove Candies and Ice Cream Company is owned by Mars, famous for making M&Ms.
Yes.
And were originally based in the United States. I don't know where they are now, and I really don't care.
Well, there's a plant
right over here in Elizabethtown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I've never tried to lick Dove soap.
Well, I didn't either. But I saw the two logos, and I thought they were the same, and they are not. Dove chocolate and Dove the face cream are just slightly different. They're kind of close, but they're slightly different.
But ironically, they're both spelled
Dove. Yeah. So there you go. One of those urban myths that I followed along with and was duped miserably.
Oh, you just, it seemed like a logical kind of thing, but
I came clean on it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure of that. But when you said the bird, I thought, you know what? Maybe that's right.
So give them the bird now.
Hey, speaking of animals,
anyway, yes.
Animals. So, many years ago, Florida is a lot of Everglades, a lot of swampland, and somebody had a python as a pet, and then they got rid of it.
They noticed that it grew.
They just threw it away. They said, there's a lot of swamp here. I'll just dump them off.
Another guy came over to him and said, hey, I got this python here. What are you doing? Take him over to the swamp, throw him in there.
And now,
and the other guy went and asked those two guys, and they said, I got this python. What do I do? You throw it in the swamp.
and decades later,
Guess what happened?
we have, pythons all over Florida.
Boa constrictors,
Yes.
all that kind of stuff.
So the, I guess,
Another
wildlife-
reason that Florida has been nixed off my map of places to go live.
I guess the wildlife officials decided to have this hunt every year to kind of help do what little they can to kind of stem the tide.
Right.
So this python thing's been going on for a long time. We've covered it before. We covered it earlier this week when apparently there was this guy. They were using the word prolific. That's how skilled he was at getting these pythons
And then killing them. Yeah.
And I figured, well, he must. I guess he's going to be the winner, right?
Right.
Well,
Au
no.
contraire.
Not only didn't he win, but you won't believe who did.
Taylor Stanberry stands just 4 feet 11 inches tall, but she towered over Florida's Python Challenge, bagging 60 Burmese pythons in the Everglades over 10 days. Some of those snakes were 3 times her height. For her trouble, Stanberry took home the $10,000 top prize. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission says the hunters in the competition removed a record 294 pythons in all. That's just a drop in the snake-filled bucket, though. They estimate there are between 100,000 to 300,000 in the Everglades, and the invasive species is known to kill off native wildlife. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Anybody want to go for a swim in the Everglades? 100,000 pythons. That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
but
well-
the fact is, girl, 4 feet 10 or whatever, is pulling these suckers down.
The one that she got, the biggest one she got, was 15 feet long.
Yeah. Holy smoke.
Can
I'll tell
you
what,
imagine
though,
that?
I tell you what you need to do.
All right.
Up the prize amount. Get
Oh.
more of these suckers cleared out. You put it up to like 2 million.
Here's the problem with that.
Yeah, the
Here's
pythons might win a few battles, but
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
You'll
it.
get
You're gonna
idiots
have-
going out there.
That's absolutely.
No, I understand, but you know what? There's 2 things that'll happen right there.
Oh, there you go. It's a win-win.
Thin the herd,
It's a win-win.
thin the herd, and get rid of the pythons. Okay, you can. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, if you up it to like 2 million, you don't tell me that they're going to go out there. People, you're wrecking the Everglades. Well, the pythons have already done that, and so have the boa constrictors.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to find the idiots that put them in there in the first place, and arrest them.
It happens over. I'm sure it didn't happen in a day.
Where's the executive order for this? Get rid of those people and get them out of here, and we'll be. I'm kidding.
So,
anyway,
go ahead.
TikTokers.
Yes.
I'll get to this story later on. What do you got?
All right. Well, I was going to say that.
Because you got a lot of things you.
Well, you
teased.
didn't play video games. You don't play video games.
Just a Pong.
Yeah,
that was
Pong.
it. And
Yeah,
I
that's
played,
barely
And I played
qualifies.
Tiger Woods golf game
yeah.
on whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. I mean, that counts.
Wii. I played it on Wii. That was
Yeah,
it.
that counts. And speaking of sports games, Madden 26. It's the
I heard.
26th edition. Has been released, and let's see why I guess I didn't hit the button.
Madden NFL 26's developer blog says they focus directly on player feedback from last year's edition and will feature new AI technology that they say will enhance QB behaviors and coaching strategies. They promise player-driven storytelling in Superstar mode, new content and live events in Ultimate Team mode, new gameplay and impactful weather, amongst other things.
Whiteout conditions remain in effect as we are back for the second half.
All the mainstream current generation consoles and PC will get the release. Eamon Dignam, Fox News.
When Madden 27 comes out, they're probably going to offer you a job as a coach of the NFL if you can,
I'm not really good at the football one. I mean, I used to be back in the day, but it just keeps getting more and more difficult. And these kids today are very good.
Yeah, and I'm saying probably anybody that's playing Madden, get them on your staff, because they probably could coach. Anyway, when we come back, Chris Markowski, the watchdog on Wall Street, he loves to talk about tariffs. We're going to do some of that. We'll talk about Social Security a little bit today. Is National Social Security Day, and how sustainable is that? And if it's not, what do we need to do to sustain it? We'll ask Chris some of those questions and more when he joins us here on the Gary Sutton Show. But first, news at 6:30.
I blowing your mind?
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't. This might be the soonest we've ever done a year for bumper music.
Yeah, I feel like
It's
we're in Bollywood.
2001.
Yeah.
This is Missy Elliott. This was a incredibly huge song in 2001. It was "Get Your Freak On." And what better way?
Which will tell you how bad things were in 2001. You know, there it is. I mean, this is, and the album that it came from is called "Respect Me."
Yes.
No.
Get your freak on. Get your freak on. Get your freak on.
Oh my gosh! And she got paid for that, lady.
Oh yeah,
got paid for that
Buku
handsomely.
bucks. Yes,
handsomely.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK, and we welcome in this morning Chris Markowski, the watchdog on Wall Street. Good morning, Chris. I think they ought to take that song, the Respect Me song, and send it to Gitmo and use it as torture. I think that would probably work out. But anyway, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Well, for whatever reason it may be, when I can't hear the music that comes on, so you spared me. So.
Okay, well, I did. It was that
Get Your Freak On.
Get Your Freak On by Missy Elliott. And
oh God, no.
That
one?
Yeah.
They say Muskrat Love by America. That's another good torture one as well.
Oh yeah,
I actually like that one
Captain
too.
and Tennille did that too. So
they remade it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just put them up in like a mix, send it down to Gitmo, and we'll get any information we ever want about terrorism. I'm just telling you, it'll be out there. But anyway, good morning, and today is the anniversary of Social Security getting started, and we continue to hear every day just about Social Security is running out of time and it's going to be out of money. We got 1 out of 5 Americans on Social Security right now. There are some people, Mark and I were just talking about, who think it's some kind of retirement plan at the end when it's kind of a throw-in. It's a little throw-in to all the other stuff you're supposed to be doing to get ready for retirement. But I was struck by the fact that when they did this, when Roosevelt came out with Social Security, people were living to like 60, 62, that kind of thing. Now we're living to 78, a lot longer in a lot of cases with all the medical breakthroughs. And I'm not sure, where does Social Security fit into all that stuff?
Well, it's interesting. That's my business. I love studying this stuff. The original Social Security plan was done in Germany by the Kaiser. 1870, 1880. You know what the original retirement age was? 75.
Wow.
So you talk about Iraq, and then people eventually caught on. They're like, this is ridiculous. The same thing held true. We kind of, took the ball and ran with it ourselves. But even Roosevelt understood that at some point in time, the demographics weren't going to work, and we were going to have to start, obviously, turning it into some sort of annuity or having the money invested, and we just didn't do that. It's interesting is that, the last person tried to we didn't really try. He put it out there, but he failed miserably, was George W. Bush, because he's spending all his political capital in Iraq at the time, and they didn't have any fight for it. But the S&P 500's up about 400% since that point in time when we tried to reform Social Security, and it got rejected. It wasn't just the Democrats, Republicans didn't want to fight for it either. And you also take into consideration that was 2006, and the market came down, obviously, 2008, 2009, and all the money invested in 2008, 2009 would have been down at low levels. Man, oh man. Just imagine what the Social Security checks would be today if we just reformed it and actually moved forward. But once again, we didn't. Daniel Patrick Moynihan was a senator from the state of New York, Democrat, and he actually basically said, I'm not going to reform Social Security because it's going to make too many people wealthy, and then they'll end up becoming Republicans. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said.
Interesting. I always liked listening to Daniel Patrick Moynihan. He was a guy who spoke some truth, and you could listen and get something out of it. I was looking at the tariff stuff right now, and I saw today where China, who owns GE, is now going to, or the company in China owns GE, that they're now going to build more factories here in our country or put more production here in our country as a result of, they say, the tariffs. Are the tariffs working at all right now? Are they getting people to come back here and say, okay, we're not going to play with the tariffs. We're just going to come back here. We're going to put some more outfits here, let them build more stuff here. That's what Trump wants in the first place. Anyways, have companies come back here. So if they're building stuff here, he doesn't care if there's parts from other places as long as they're building here in our country. What's your thought on that?
It's tough to see. I think you're going to see some of that here. But again, sometimes what you create, you destroy elsewhere. Like, for example, back, last time around, he was president with the steel tariffs. He created 1,000 jobs in steel, and everybody's jumping up and down. But we also had over 20,000 jobs in manufacturing destroyed because the price of steel went up. So that there's always both sides of this equation, and they're going to always point to, look at here, we got a success here, but not to where other things are not working anymore. I mean, there's stories that that I'm dealing with right now and talking to people, parts suppliers in Michigan for auto parts, going out of business. They can't deal with the tariffs, they can't compete, and this is you're going to continue to see this. It's definitely shaking everything up. Again, we'll see. General Electric General Electric sold their appliance business to China.
Right.
They don't own it anymore. It's still got the moniker GE, but it's not have anything to do with General Electric.
What are the other numbers right now as you're looking around the country as far as the economy, the things that are jumping out at you that you say, that it doesn't make a lot of sense to me right now? What are some of those things that are jumping out at the moment? I saw, for example, the New York builders are converting illegal immigrant hotels into apartments. They're doing that now. I mean, there are people doing a lot of refurbishing in our country at the moment and redoing things and trying to find places to recycle. Your thoughts on any of that?
Well, again, in many of these areas, we definitely need to do that. The problem with we have right now, people think that there's some sort of inventory problem when it comes to housing, and there's not an inventory problem. The problem is that a lot of the housing is owned by private equity and corporations, and they pay for it in cash, and they can sit on it the way the tax laws are. And to me, you want to solve the high cost of housing. Both Democrats and Republicans should be bipartisan. They could do away with this nonsense. But a lot of them don't want to do that because you think about keeping the prices up, it's higher property tax revenue. And many of these municipalities love that because they're awash with cash. So, that problem could be solved easily. But underlying issues with the economy, there's no doubt about it. The idea right now that we are like booming is patently absurd. We've got credit card default rates at a level that we haven't seen since 2008, and that was when unemployment was above 8%. Obviously, the college loan default rates went up because they're making kids and people pay it back once again. Auto loan default rates are very, very high. The manufacturing sector here in this country has basically come to a standstill and going backwards. So there's a lot of underlying problems there. Yeah, we have right now the AI and the build out with AI and tech, and obviously also energy as well, because you have to power all of these places, is doing very well. But when you have college graduates right now with an unemployment rate, a little under 8%, that's not good.
I was reading an article this morning, and it was talking about, it says, as home sales fall to near record lows, one of the cornerstones of the American dream is crumbling, and there's no clear plan for fixing it. And then I read in the Wall Street Journal, do you need to own a house? Many older Americans decide they don't. Rising property tax, insurance, and home repair costs are prompting some people 55 and older to consider renting. So we're seeing some changes in the way we once viewed the American dream, right?
Well, again, what was it? Carlin said that, about the American dream, and I'm not going to do it because we can't say it on radio how he put it out there. But, it's part of the conspiracy to keep people poor and stupid, and the idea that the conventional wisdom is that you ever own your home. You don't, okay? You own your home outright. You don't pay your property taxes. They're taking your home away, okay? So you're basically a serf or a peasant living on the Lord's manor. That's just the way it is. I like the move right now here where I live in the state of Florida, where they're looking to get rid of property taxes. I mean, it's an issue. The reason we got Tom Selleck pitching reverse mortgages on TV is because oftentimes senior citizens can no longer afford to live in the homes that they have because they can't afford the property taxes as it continues to go up. And that's just, to me, that's just disgusting, quite frankly. Yeah. Also, not to mention the fact a lot of people would love to move and downsize, but if they move, they're going to get crushed, whether it be on capital gains, and then their property taxes are going to go up where they have to move to. How dumb is that? I mean, these are problems that could be easily solved.
They say that the share of renters 65 and older rose 30% in the last decade, according to a recent study by an outfit called Point Two Homes, a residence rental platform. And they say more people are asking themselves, do I really need to own a house at this stage of my life? And maybe the question you're saying they should be asking is, can I actually afford to own a house at this stage in life because of, fixed incomes and all that kind of stuff, right?
Well, that's another, part, conventional wisdom that your home is this great and what people consider an investment. It's not an investment. It's an installment plan purchase. Okay, it's a necessity. It's like you need to have food, you need to have shelter. Okay, you watch the survival shows on TV. You got to have two of those things. And if you take a look at all the money that you put into your house, the interest payments on your mortgage, the utilities, the upkeep, everything, and you're telling me that it's an investment? No. Okay, it's a bill. And handle it as such. And people are like, oh, look what I sold my house for 20 years down the road. Okay, but if you actually consider how much it costs to maintain that house and what you put in that house and the property taxes, you didn't make a dime. Okay, you didn't. So stop.
Finally, any other things this morning that you've been talking about that kind of jumped out at you this week?
Again, it's always interesting out there. I've definitely been hitting on the fact that, we're not really running capitalism anymore. We're running statism where, the government is actually shaking down companies and saying, it's like the mafia, for crying out loud. Oh, you want to do business in China? Pay me. And I'm like, I've never seen this before, ever in my entire life. And it's amazing to me is that there's no pushback. We supposedly have this thing called Congress that are supposed to represent the people, and I got nothing but crickets right now. Basically, what the Trump administration is doing right now, that if Nancy Pelosi, if AOC or Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren did it, there'd be an absolute uproar. Okay? This is like a dream for them. I can't even believe that they're not saying anything. They should be applauding what the president's doing right now because they're basically shaking down corporate America. Okay, you want to sell here? Okay, you're going to have to pay me. You're going to have to pay me my VIG. Crazy. Don Fanucci in a white suit walking around.
And I also saw, and you know what happened to Don Fanucci, but I also saw in India, for example, where India, getting hit with a 50% tariff because I think they dealt with Russia. They took some oil from Russia or something like that. But what was interesting to me on India was the two areas that they are most important for them. Number one, making textiles, making clothes and things like that. That's where they're trying to emerge as a better manufacturing nation. We didn't hit them on that, and we also didn't hit them because I think it's. Was it Apple that is making a whole lot of computers there as well? That was the other area. We didn't hit them on that either with a 50% tax. So it's very subjective in terms of how we do this. And does it hurt America in the long run? I think it's one of the questions the president consistently asks. Final thoughts this morning.
Yeah, I'm starting slowly but surely. I guess I kind of see the method to the madness, and a lot of it's just for headlines' sake. Again, Trump was a master of the reality show bit, and you gotta keep it interesting every single week on the show, and he's basically running the presidency the same way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's turned it into a reality show, and it daily feels like that anymore. But we'll continue to talk about that, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. And just remember what happened to Don Fanucci, okay?
I know what happened.
Robert De Niro eventually took that towel and wrapped around the gun, and what the heck? I mean, So we'll see how the Don faces that in the long run. Hey, thanks, my friend. Have a great week, all right?
You got to have a good one.
Appreciate it. Chris Markowski, the watchdog of Wall Street. It took us a whole time to get to the end there, Mark, to get to a movie quote from The Godfather. There it was. But we made it. We got it in. It's part of our language. 6:47 here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. What do we have coming back?
So when we come back,
go ahead.
It started as a barbecue.
Okay.
But then these I think it was 4 people. All of a sudden, there was love in the air, but there was intrigue, and there was backstabbing, and then a gun went off.
And what happened?
That's what I want to know.
We'll find out when we come back here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. I like this song.
And why is that?
I just do. The chorus, I think, is what got me there.
I see.
Make you free.
Yeah, we'll get to it here in a second.
Through
Yeah.
your veins like a fish in the sea.
Yeah.
Singing, follow me, everything is alright. I'll be the one to tuck you in at night. And if you want to leave, I can guarantee you won't find nobody else like me.
Yeah.
2000,
Catchy song. It's a catchy song.
2001, Uncle Cracker.
Yeah.
And Follow Me.
Yeah. It was just an interesting, funky song, and I kind of liked the sound of it. I was just things.
But I am going to do.
Go ahead.
Matter of fact, I'm typing it in here now. We are going to do next hour. We will do the song that. Chris Markowski didn't recommend the song,
But when I told him what it was, he said, "Oh my God, no."
he had an analogy for it, or at least another song, which I happen to like. But we'll do that next hour.
You never know. Some of your songs get disparaged quite a bit here.
It's not from 2001, though. I will just say that.
Your bestest buddy on songs, though, seems to be Tim Barker. He seems to know,
Yes.
all these songs. And
He's
he's there with you.
Yeah, he's got an eclectic taste.
Yes, he does. And
I
you appreciate that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Unlike some in this room.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
I was. Who did I watch the other day? And it was Donny Osmond. Mm-hmm. It was Donny Osmond in an Instagram video, and he was talking about how he felt that for years there was an anti-Donny Osmond thing in radio that, if it had his name on it,
Didn't get played.
It didn't get played.
Yeah.
And he had a hit, I think it was in the 80s, maybe early 90s, and it was called Soldier of Love. I'm not 100% sure on that. But what they did was they didn't put his name on it. So it got played, and he said, that was evidence. That was evidence that they definitely had a anti-Donny Osmond. Now, once they found out who it was too late. It was already a hit record.
Yeah.
He said, but if they had known beforehand, it wouldn't have gotten played.
You don't see him around much anymore. You don't see Marie around at all
he does. He does a lot of shows.
Marie's not around at all.
No, that's a different story.
Yeah, I don't know. What happened with her?
I think, it's harder for a woman.
They get a little older.
Yes.
Guys, we get weathered. The women get older.
You saw enough of her, though, with the
Nutrisystem things. Yeah, and that kind of went down the tubes then. But she was gorgeous. I mean, she really was. And talented.
So, but I'm not going to argue with you.
Well, so now tell me a little bit about this mystery that you're setting up.
This senior barbecue. Here's the thing.
Oh, it's a senior barbecue now.
Yes. Well, it has seniors in it. If you've read any of the stories, have you heard about the villages in Florida?
I am going down there to play in a golf tournament.
All right. Well, have you?
I've heard about it. Yes.
Yes. How it's
so wild down there.
Oh my gosh! There's a lot of single seniors.
Yeah.
And they're having sex and all kinds of parties and things. That's the rumor. I have not experienced this myself.
I have a friend who lives there. That's where I'm going to stay.
You should ask him or her before you go if any of that is true.
I'm going to stay outside.
There's there's certain flags, colors, or something. They hang on their golf carts, as to,
really.
Yes, the little. That's how they communicate.
And I'm going to this place in November.
Yes. Well, let's find. Well, it'll be interesting. But this isn't that. This isn't the villages. But it does involve seniors and assortedness.
Detroit police say 4 people who live in a senior citizen apartment complex all recovering after shots rang out Monday during a barbecue over jealousy.
Love triangle. He said he's going to kill him, and that's what he said he's going to do.
Reggie Irvin lives in the senior complex where one resident in his 70s allegedly shot his ex's new man, who's in a wheelchair, and 2 others. The ex shot back. Neighbors also tell us it's not the only love triangle going on there.
Well, it's a whole lot of things going on over whole lot of things.
This is where we supposed to retire. We supposed to have a good time, drink our daiquiris.
Detroit prosecutors not yet weighing in on possible charges. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Wow. Sounds like this is a hopping place.
What do you think of that?
Yeah. I don't know. I just
Does it make you want to keep working?
Yes, it does. I'm very glad where I am right now.
All right, so let's talk about another crime.
Got it.
This one, the guy who got arrested, he's notable because he just won Powerball. Check this out.
The winner of the largest Kentucky Powerball jackpot in history, arrested in Pinellas County, Florida, a day after claiming the $167 million prize. 50-year-old James Farthing captured on police body cam video released Wednesday, being tased after he allegedly kicked a cop in the face.
You're up. The female. Taser deployed. Was that the only one? No, I have one on the ground there. He kicked me in the face. He's going.
Farthing charged with battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting an officer, and parole violation. Sue Guzman, Fox News.
You know, there are a couple things that remain true in this country. If you kick a policeman in the face, you put yourself on the visiting team. I mean, you're in harm's way. And
All right, but here's my thought.
Go ahead.
All right, this is not, I'm not agreeing with what the guy did.
Right.
What I'm saying is, if in your lifetime, you were going to kick a cop in the face,
right,
wouldn't you do it like right after you won $106 million?
Yeah, really.
So, I mean, you're going to be able to afford a good lawyer.
Right.
Will you serve any time for this? If it's a first offense, maybe something minimal. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying.
No, I got you.
I don't know that that's the case here.
No,
but anyway, what's next hour?
Yeah, well, next hour we have Joel Sears, who's lurking in the wings here, always ready to break down a policy for you, tear it apart and put it back together again. And he'll explain some of that at 7:05 this morning here on the Gary Sutton Show. And later on, by the way, 8:05, we've got Corey Thurman. And you say, who's Corey Thurman? I remember that name. Pitched for the Revolution for 8 years, maybe the longest serving revolutionary guy. He'll be with us today, too, here on the Gary Sutton Show. But first news, it's 7 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again?
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK on a Thursday morning, where it is the 14th of August, 2025. It is 70 degrees here on Brooks Robinson Plaza, a little bit at Wellspan Park. A little bit cloudy out there this morning. The show brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Barley Snyder Law Firm. Innovative legal solutions for your business. They are a law firm for today's business world. 29 different disciplines they represent, different areas where they have experts to represent you. One stop, but 29 different areas that they could help you out with. Check them out at barley.com to find out more. And don't forget, here in York, they're 100 East Market Street, 717-846-8888. They're open 9 to 5 daily. Please tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. And this hour brought to you by Accountability for Life. I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a great program here in York. One of the hidden gems here in York County, Accountability for Life, was started by Coach Russ Stoner, who's the head football coach over at York High. And just an outstanding coach. I got to know him years ago. Well, he started this program, Accountability for Life. They're committed to preparing and mentoring at-risk adolescents, kids that maybe are having a tough time, and maybe the parental thing's not going as well as it should. Maybe there's a whole lot of different things involved. But what he wants to do is get these adolescents that are at risk ready for lifelong success. And what they use is an athletics-based platform, football, to educate them on an oft-forgotten yet simple, fundamental set of behaviors that include accountability. Yeah. Different concepts and actions that have the power to define one's course in life. Learning how to get along, playing well with others, learning about manners, learning about how to talk to other people, learning about all that kind of thing, learning about the responsibility of taking care of oneself. All things that sometimes get lost when kids are at risk, right? So they're taking care of that and helping to provide traditional core values that will be important for them as they go on into life and they want to be successful. They actually have their own building over there right now, by the way. It's at 755 Vogelsong Road. I've been over there a bunch of times. They've got a weight training thing over there. They've got a room where the kids can actually cook dinners, be around, talk, converse. They've got like a little area over there as well where there's running involved. They've got like I want to say a AstroTurf kind of mini field in there. But the biggest thing that they do is they work hard on getting kids scholarships, making sure they're doing it in the classroom, they're doing it out in society, and doing it right. And you can check out all the things they're doing right now and maybe see how you can get involved, because they are always looking for help. www.aflyorkpa.info. That's www.aflyorkpa.info. Coach Russ Stoner, he welcomes you to call him, 717-577-0306. They're doing a great job with Accountability for Life. AFLYorkPA.info. Tell them Gary Sutton sent you over today to say hello and see what you can do to help. They're running all kinds of special things to raise money and continue to help kids who are at risk. WOYK News Time is 7:08. We bring in Joel Sears this morning, who is always looking to help us by breaking down some of the policies, ridiculous and otherwise, that are going on out there. Good morning, Joel. How are you?
Doing well, Gary. How about you?
I'm doing great. What do you have for us this week, my friend?
Well, a couple things. Just starting off with curiosity about what's going to happen tomorrow with the meeting between Donald Trump and Putin. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
just puts his foreign policy hat on.
Yeah, no Ukrainians need be invited to this one. It's just Trump and Putin, and of course, Trump did put a warning out yesterday that there are serious consequences if things don't turn out. Yeah. I'm not sure I'd throw that out ahead of the time, but whatever. But I was reading today, just very quickly before you get into this, where Putin has met with, I forget how, 52 meetings with all the presidents now, something like that, and no one still knows really who this guy is or what he stands for. I mean, you think he's just a thug and, a former guy from the, security in Russia, but no one seems to really know what his center of gravity is. So it's kind of interesting as you set the stage for that meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, Gary, I think in hindsight, the center of gravity for Vladimir Putin is paranoia.
Might be right, yeah.
For a long time, and there are very, very few people that we read about who are part of his inner circle that advise him. His name is about the only one that comes up, which is, I guess, not unsurprising for somebody in a position like that. He's got to be thinking about succession at some point.
Well, and people who have disagreed with him have tended to disappear or get poisoned or things like that, yeah.
It turns into a verb. They've been disappeared.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, here we sit on a local level. This is, to me, a little bit more important because it's more tangible for us, and that's we're at the start of a new school year. It's hard to believe.
Yes.
But in my district, they had the opening day yesterday for the teachers, and I think Monday's probably the first day for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they face a number of challenges. Every year, and this year's made even worse by the fact that we don't have a state budget.
Right.
So there's a lot of uncertainty about funding. But the other challenge, which is coming on like a freight train, is AI in public schools. Is this another distraction, like the rush to automate classrooms and instruction, which I've seen in many different, let's say, incarnations over the last 10 to 15 years? These experiments, many school districts and institutions of higher learning are rethinking and even abandoning because they've seen a very significant change in the way students absorb information, the way they acquire information, and a lot of colleges in particular are requiring more oral examinations and written exams with nothing in the classroom but paper, pencil, and a brain. You know, the blue book industry is going crazy for examinations, and that's because there's been so much misuse of AI throughout academia. Employers are now requiring more in-person interviews because so much of what has gone on with sites like Indeed and the others are that people are submitting AI-written resumes and the like. So it's time to get people back into the face-to-face world. And so what are we learning? It's really fundamentals. We're at the start of a new school year. Let's just say at this, to make an analogy, that we're at the beginning of a new sports season.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to take stock of where we are. You've done this for years, Gary. You take stock of where you are, where you want to be, and how to get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Correct? I mean, it's not like you're starting from scratch, but you really need to be realistic about where you are. And if your team won the state championship 5 years ago, and it hasn't done so well since then, you better not be resting on your laurels.
Exactly.
You better be realistic about where you are and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in our county, every district in York County and the vast majority in the state saw significant learning losses during COVID. We all know that. We've heard about that. Many were well on the way down when COVID hit, and that, in a way, disguised the problem that was already unfolding. Many have recovered to their pre-COVID levels, and they languish there. And so you ask yourself, well, why is that? We're spending more now. In my district, for example, in the last 10 years, our spending has increased 67% for the same number of kids.
Wow.
Test scores are down across the board, the worst of which is mathematics. And you think, well, here we are in the tech age, and mathematics is the area where we see the biggest decline. In 8th grade, we dropped, these are the scores that were published late in 2024, and they were the 24 results. The 25 results are not out yet. 8th grade mathematics dropped from 95.2% proficient in 2014 to 45.8 proficient in 2024. So that decline started well before COVID. It's ramped up from, I think, 39 in 23, but 45.8% of our 8th graders are proficient in math. In high school, our algebra proficiency in the Keystones dropped from 89% proficient to 62% proficient. That's a 30% reduction in proficiency. This is supposed to be the highest performing school district in the county and one of the highest in the state. And what I hear when I review school board minutes and videos and the like is that, well, hey, don't worry about it because we're so much better than the state. We're so much better than the county average. You can't run your basketball team that way, Gary, and you wouldn't.
I'm sitting here listed, so you got a 67% increase in cost, but how much increase? And so how much of a decrease do you have in learning? So you go like, what? I mean, wait a minute. And we often hear our politicians, and I lament this constantly, saying we're investing in education. We're investing. Well, if you make an investment, the idea is you get a good return on it. Well, you'd have to say the return on this investment's not that good. Am I wrong?
Well, it's not only not that good, it's shockingly bad. I can't think of another business. I hate to use that term because I'm criticized whenever I compare education to business. But there are financial inputs and there are academic outputs.
Right.
And they're all measurable.
Yeah.
So what is our district doing? I mean, so I said to one of the most highly regarded authorities on earth, ChatGPT-5, are there any interventions that actually work?
Yeah.
That would actually help mitigate this learning loss? And the answer was simple but complicated. It's high dosage tutoring. Now think about that as a former teacher, Gary.
Right.
If you're in your classroom, it may not be as bad in history, but let's say it's a math class or a science class, and the kids are clearly not performing. And this has been going on for years. And somebody comes along and says, you need a bunch of tutors. You probably take that personally as a teacher and say, what are you talking about?
Right.
You need, and how many do I need? Well, I say, well, how many kids you got? Well, we have 20 kids. Well, then you need 10 tutors.
Yeah, exactly.
What? How are you going to handle that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, with a lot of money and a lot of conviction, because if you think that this is a business and your business is academics, then you better get on the academic solution train.
And by the way, how many tutors are there out there?
That's a great question. There are more than you think.
Okay. All right. I ask it not knowing. I'm not asking with an idea in mind.
I would have thought, and I did think, and I'm still thinking, holy, how do you energize a group of people to come in and do this kind of tutoring? Some of these are students themselves. There are some high-performing students who can do this work.
Okay.
There are retirees who can do this work.
Good.
There are adjunct professors from universities that can do this work. And will do this work.
But you're going to be paying extra money on top of what you thought you were paying just to get the education in the first place, right? And now you're saying, okay, that's not working. Let's add more money to it. Does that seem kind of redundant? Am I wrong on that?
It is the challenge, Gary. And so you say, well, we're working with a limited budget. We can't raise taxes willy-nilly. We have this thing called Act 1 that does put a limit on the tax increases, although for most of us it doesn't seem like it's that big a benefit. But if you're asking the question of allocation and scarcity of resource, the basic economic challenge,
right.
What's the best use of the money? And you have the experts' opinions on what the best use of the money is, and this is what you do instead. You build buildings.
Yeah. Yeah.
You put up buildings. You invest in bricks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we have time here, I want to throw a little analogy at you.
We have 1 minute, so go ahead.
All right. Your favorite sport's golf.
Yes.
10 years ago, 90% of your golf team could break 80. Today, only 50% play at that level.
Mm-hmm.
What do? Do you intensify the coaching or do you build a new golf course?
You intensify the coaching, you go get your pro to help you out a little because you obviously not working.
Why is that so obvious in sports but not obvious in education?
Maybe that's to be answered for a later show, my friend, because that's a really good question. I like that. So we'll let them wanting for another week. How's that go?
Thanks.
We'll talk to you.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Next Thursday, we'll catch up to you, buddy. Hey, great stuff this morning. Thank you so much. A lot of great questions raised there, and I'm going to be thinking all week long until I meet with you again. So next Thursday, same time, same place. What do you say?
You got it, Gary.
Joel, thanks so much. I appreciate you, man. Take care. Joel Sears here, who takes on our policies and breaks them down and takes a look at them and raises some questions like that. Yeah. I'm thinking already. I hope you are too. I'm Gary Sutton. We'll come back with more here at 7:18. And Mark, what do we have when we come back? I know Fox Sports is up.
Sports update. Yep.
We'll find out about the Revs last night, maybe the Orioles last night, and the Phils last night as well. The news may not be as good as you'd like. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Fox Sports Update.
The line to a left center, a base hit. Ward scores. Moore's on his way home. The big hit from O'Hoppe gives the Angels the lead. It's 6-5.
On FanDuel Sports Network West, Logan O'Hoppe singled home a tie-breaking run for the Angels in the bottom of the 8th inning against the Dodgers, who were trying to maintain a hold on first place in the National League West.
Fly ball left center. Teodosio is closing. He's there. He's got it. Say goodnight to the Dodgers. This is heaven for the Angels. They have swept the Dodgers all year long. 6 in a row and a three-way series sweep again here at the Big A.
The improbable when you think about Shohei Ohtani on the bump.
On FanDuel Sports Network West, Shohei Ohtani was on the bump. The pitching mound for the Dodgers last night gave up 4 runs on 5 hits in 4 1/3 innings. Combined with the Padres' 11-1 win over the Giants, San Diego overtook first place in the NL West by 1 game over the Dodgers. The Padres have won 5 in a row. The Houston Astros retook sole possession of first place in the American League West. Houston beat the Red Sox 4-1 to take a 1-game lead over the Mariners, whose win streak was snapped at 8 games by the Orioles 4-3. The Milwaukee Brewers extended their win streak to 12 games, 1 shy of tying the franchise record. The Brewers pounded the Pirates 12-5. Milwaukee's record is now 76-44, best in baseball by 6.5 games over the Blue Jays, who lost Wednesday at home to the Cubs 4-1. Golf, the second of 3 FedEx Cup playoff tournaments. The BMW Championship gets underway this morning just after 9 a.m. Eastern Time at Caves Valley Golf Club outside of Baltimore. The 18-time NBA champion Boston Celtics are changing hands. NBA Board of Governors unanimously approved sale of the Celtics for an American pro sports record $6.1 billion to an ownership group led by Bill Chisholm. It's game on with the Fox Sports app, available wherever you download apps. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
Well, and you look around, the Phillies got mauled last night, 8-0. They lost. The Orioles won 4-3, which is kind of interesting because they're up 3-1. Yanier Cano comes in the 9th, gives up 2 runs to tie it up. And then the Orioles win, and they are the last major league team to not have a walk-off win this year. And Jackson Holliday hit a double, and they won 4-3 last night. So the Orioles walking off with a win last night for the first time all year, which tells you a little bit about the year they've had.
Right.
The Rebs going down last night 4-1 in Long Island. They're now down 5 games to Lancaster, who won their 7th in a row last night. So the Rebs falling a little bit further behind here in the second half. Remember, they did win the first half already. And on a personal note, I do want to mention a guy who just passed away recently, and he was a friend. I taught with him for a long time. He was an outstanding coach here in York County, but he was also a great player when he was in high school. In fact, I think he might have been a high school All-American when he was a running back at West York, and his name was Lowell David Wakeland. He was 91. He passed away, and I just found out about this. I admit to being a guy who I don't look at the obituary columns. I just don't, for whatever reason. But Dave, as he was known to all of us, was a guy who was born in 1933, and he was in the Marine Corps. During the Korean War, he graduated from West York High School. He received his bachelor's degree from Millersville. He taught middle school science, coached different sports down in Susquehannock when I was down there. I was on a team teaching with him when I first started teaching back in 1973, and just a great guy, but motivator and kind of a tough guy, an avid hunter, and raised some great sons. I mean, he really did. Doug Wakeland, Scott Wakeland, just great kids, and Brian Wakeland, and passed away. And he was a guy, up until even his later years, was always out helping park cars at the York Fair for the Lions Club, and he was involved at his church a lot, down there in, I think it was St. Jacob's United Church in York, New Salem. So a guy who really served the community, but a great educator. And when he was a player, he was unbelievable and stayed in shape his whole life. I mean, he was a really great guy. So
see, that's
Dave Wakeland.
That's a life well lived.
Yeah, it really
Someone
was.
who is connected to the community and played sports and stayed in shape. He did what he could to improve the quality of his life and his community.
And a lot of people knew Dave, and they're going to have a celebration of life. It's going to be held Saturday, August 23rd from 1 to 4 at St. Jacob's UCC, 100 East George Street in York, New Salem. So you could stop down there and pay your respects to Dave. A lot of people knew him, was an educator for a long, long time, I'll tell you what. and a guy that a lot of people looked up to.
So I heard a stat. Well, they were talking about the Brewers winning their 12th game in a row. And it got me to wondering, what is the longest winning streak in Major League Baseball history? Do you know?
I think I want to say 19.
It is 26.
26, okay.
It's the New York Giants.
Wow.
And it was set in 1916. And according to this ESPN SI, I guess it's a chatbot or something, other notable winning streaks, it says, are the Cleveland Guardians. They won 22 games in a row back in 2017.
Yeah.
The Cubs, of all people, won 21 games in a row, but that was in 1935.
Right.
And the Oakland Athletics won 20 games in a row in 2002.
That's pretty impressive. Anytime you can win that many baseball games in a row. Hey, if you want to save some money, by the way, Mark, and I know your ears perk up when I say want to save some money, just tell all your closest friends to go kick rocks. A new poll of Gen Zers and millennials found that having friends costs an average of $250 a month. A month. That's money spent on brunches, dinners, bar nights, general hangouts. Yeah. The average for men is $296. For women, it's $208. So, ladies, you don't spend as much as we do, but
it's expensive. Then,
it is.
What you're saying.
44% have skipped a major event with friends because of the cost, and 1 in 4 say social spending makes it hard to save any money.
Is that golf included in that?
I think so. But the pressure to meet up is just too much for a lot of younger adults. 24% said they'd feel left out if they couldn't do what their friends were doing because they couldn't afford it. They would look bad.
I believe that.
And a lot of people are in the same boat, though, and it's leading to new strategies among friend groups. 23% agreed with a statement, my friends and I prioritize no spend hangs so we can spend time together without spending money. We can spend time together without spending money. No spend hangouts. So I guess, and then people were sitting there thinking you're cheap. But So anyway, mine mostly come from I'll buy a dinner for someone or I'll invite them to the golf club and I like them to be my guests. And, I don't think about that too much, but, I guess some people do.
You would if, your bank account was limited.
You would. You're right. That's a reasonable thing. And,
playing golf once a week is probably, okay, I could probably swing that.
Yeah.
But even that could be, maybe if you're playing to win.
Or if you're betting some dollars and you get in there. And,
exactly.
Anyway, when we come back, we're going and by the way, this hour be brought to you by Accountability for Life, AFL. And I'm telling you what these people are doing over there at Accountability for Life are just great things. Russ Stoner and all his people are working constantly to improve areas of a student athlete's life by teaching and modeling the concept of integrity and requiring ownership of one's actions. In other words, accountability, and doing character building resources. In fact, they have a character building resource kit that they have for coaches, educators, and other community leaders, and they're using those and they're helping. They are helping, and these kids are coming out with scholarships where they might not otherwise have them. They're doing the job. Accountability for Life. Check them out. They have their own building at 755 Vogelsong Road, right here in York. Coach Russ Stoner, head coach over at William Penn High School, York High, is doing the job with his helpers over there, and they're always looking to get help from the community. Why don't you find out how you can do it? It's a worthwhile endeavor. Give them a call at 717-577-0306. Check them out at Accountability for Life. That's AFLYorkPA.info. AFLYorkPA.info, or give Coach Stoner a call, 717-577-0306. And tell him Gary Sutton proudly sent you. I love the work they're doing. When we come back, 7:35, Dennis Owens, ABC 27 News, joins us to talk, you got it, the budget and other stuff. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
back in the atmosphere with drops of Jupiter in her head. She acts like summer and walks like rain. Reminds me that there's a time to change.
Welcome back. The Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Yeah. Who sings this?
This is Train. Drops of Jupiter, big song for them in 2001.
Okay.
You could sing that, right?
Yeah.
Did you make it to the Milky Way to see the lights all fading?
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. It was a big, kind of like sing-along song. Like,
yeah, it was.
Karaoke.
I remember it, but I don't remember singing along with it. But
well,
whenever I sang along with songs, I don't hear songs well. I don't hear the words well, and so I sing. You ever sing along and you make up words that there never were?
Oh, sure.
All
the time.
And
Absolutely.
But you think it's really cool in the confines of your car.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it anywhere else because people would, send you to a home.
But, even when like people pull up to you at the light.
Yeah, and you're singing this song and people look at it, and then you cover the side of your face. Yeah, I wasn't doing that. But anyway, yeah, I don't know why we do that. When people are seeing us singing, why? You're in a car, you're never going to see them again, unless it's like a friend. Or your wife pulls up next to you in a car, and you go, Jesus.
You make a good point.
No, but we care. We do care what strangers think. We do. Dennis Owens might care what strangers think. I don't know if he does or not. Dennis Owens with ABC 27 News joins us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show. Do you ever do that, Dennis? You're sitting in the car and you're singing along, and all of a sudden someone pulls up, and they're looking at you and say, that's Dennis Owens. Look at him. He's just singing to himself. Yeah.
I will tell you, I have the same issue as far as sometimes misunderstanding lyrics, and the worst example of, is it Creedence Clearwater Revival that did Bad Moon on the Rise? Yes. I used to think there's bathroom on the right. There's a bathroom on the right.
There you go. Or I sang songs sometimes. I hate it when I can't understand a certain word in a song, and I continue to mess it up for years, but I'm too lazy to look it up, so it's like, what are you going to do? But how you doing this morning, my friend?
I'm doing great, thank you. I was up early, played basketball at the YMCA, West Shore Y in Camp Hill at 6 a.m. And actually, to say I played is not accurate. I showed up, and I was on the court, and I sweated. So that's basically what I was trying to do.
You sounded like you kicked butt. I mean, you came in here with that enthusiasm and said, man, we did some mauling today. But
once in a while, the shot is on. It was on a little bit today. So that was good.
See, I knew. I could feel it. I could feel the verve right here. So anyway, we're up to the point in the budget now where both sides, both the Senate and the House, have gotten something, but it's not the same thing. And now it's going to go back, I guess, to the House again. And where are we at in this whole business right now?
Ends up being a real tennis match, doesn't it? But to recap, the House, led by Democrats, came in on Monday, passed a quote-unquote transportation bailout bill. They sent an additional, by the way, you have to say an additional $300 million to Philadelphia because they already get $1 billion from the state. So it's an additional $300 million to Philadelphia for SEPTA, which is having a crisis and says if they don't have money by today, actually, they're going to have to cut services and hike fares. So the House passed a bill to bail them out, and they would just basically steer money that the state gets from sales tax, a larger percentage of that, to that problem and pay for it that way from sales taxes. And at the end of their session on Monday, the House Democratic leadership said, the Senate has not been here all summer, which is true. They haven't been here the entire fiscal year, which is true. Come in and show us what you can pass. We've passed a budget. We've passed a transportation bailout bill 5 times now. Senate has done nothing. The Senate said, okay, comes in on Tuesday, passes a transportation funding bill that would basically take money from what is a mass transit trust fund. There's apparently $2.4 billion sitting in that. Now that is supposed to be for, and Democrats argue it's already spoken for, but it's supposed to be for infrastructure, fixing tracks and paying for buses, and, just basically infrastructure upgrades. So they're saying that, but the Republicans are like, this fund is sitting there doing nothing. Senate Republicans, I should say, sitting there doing nothing while we figure out the broader budget and how to deal with mass transit long term. Let's just take the money out of that fund and give it to SEPTA. So they passed that. along party lines. And then they passed a budget that was $47.6 billion, which is $3 billion less than the $50.6 billion budget that the House passed. It is basically a flat-funded budget, which means we're going to give you the same number you got last year. Let's just get that money out because, Gary, if the budget's going to end up at least $47 billion, some 42 or 43 billion of it isn't even in dispute. It's going to hospitals, schools, nursing homes, all the things that the state pays for. It's not even in part of there's nobody arguing that they're going to end up with that money. It's a couple of billion that they're fighting over. So there's one school of thought, and this is what the Senate passed. They passed a flat-funded budget. Let's just get that money that we know is going to end up out the door, so that those people can get the funding that they need and not have to disrupt their financial flow. And then we can come back in the fall and fight over the other stuff. So the Senate passed that. So the House challenged them to show us what you can pass. They came in, worked until about 9:30 on 9 o'clock on Tuesday night, and promptly passed both a budget that the Democrats hate and a transportation funding bill that the Democrats hate. House passed a budget that Republicans hate and a transportation bill that the Republicans hate. So that's where we are.
Yeah.
Have you followed me?
I did, and it makes a lot of sense. In other words, and what was interesting about what the Senate did, they came in like, $5 billion underneath what the governor had asked for initially, I think. I'm rough numbers. But, one of the things that's interesting on this whole budget thing, especially when you look at SEPTA and what, trying to get more money down into Philadelphia, the transportation system, you got how many rural counties here in Pennsylvania, and then you got Philadelphia, and you got Pittsburgh, and maybe Scranton, if you want to throw them in. And you say, okay, here we have again, a lot of people are saying, wait a second, why are we pounding all this money down into this area? Now, obviously, much denser populated than any other place out in Pennsylvania. But people are saying, well, you're taking money from what's generally spread out here, and you're focused it in on a place that have Democrat votes for a Democrat governor. And that's essentially what a lot of people look at if you look at the political way of looking at Pennsylvania. Your thoughts on that? Because that's always something that no one talks about much, but it's always hanging out there.
However, what a lot of lawmakers said this week, and it's a bit myopic to do the us versus them, the rural versus Philadelphia.
I agree.
State versus Philadelphia, because SEPTA is a different animal. I mean, I look at buses around here, and there are never people in them. And I'm like, what is the point of that?
Right.
Could we not somebody needs to do an analysis and say, would it not be better to steer that money toward Uber rides for the people that need them to get to their doctor's appointments or their whatever they need? Come up with some kind of a permanent but more personal way of travel rather than running buses on fixed routes that most people aren't taking. So that's beside the point.
Right.
In Philadelphia, SEPTA is a real deal. People really use it to get into the city, number one.
Right.
It gets people to their jobs, no question about that, number two. And it keeps people off the Schuylkill Expressway and keeps people off the roads, number three, which are already overcrowded and not doing the job that they need to be doing. There's too many cars on the roads in the Philadelphia area that the Philadelphia area can't deal with it.
No, you're right.
It was mentioned this week on the floor, when you count Philadelphia and the collar counties, which in theory are using SEPTA, and Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, they put 46% of the money into the state fund, and they only get about 19% back.
Interesting.
And they're like, we're asking for a little money back, and there's no question, it gets people to their jobs, and then there's also the people that are, disabled and can't drive and need to get to places, and people with disabilities. So, I mean, it's a difficult conversation. I do think we need to have SEPTA. I think we need to have a good, well-running SEPTA. But I think there's also issues of, listening to Vincent Hughes, for instance, balking at the Republican plan that would require fare increases year over year. And I'm thinking to myself, I drive the Turnpike frequently, and those fares go up every year.
Yep.
Why? In what universe are you in that there isn't increases in fares? So, I mean, as with all things, somewhere in the middle lies the truth, and there's too much hyperbole on the outside.
Well, and your answer was brilliant. I mean, it was as usual, but your answer was brilliant. Not like a jump shot, but it was it was more consistent. And one of the things that was great about that was the fact that people do talk in generalities a lot of time, and they don't really sit down to think, hey, here's one of the densest populations of the state. They have different and unique problems, and one of them is mobility, getting around Philadelphia, doing that kind of thing, and SEPTA and the L and all those kind of things things that they use down there are things that most of us don't have to deal with out here in rural Pennsylvania. And so there are two different. Is it fair to say, and again, without being too general, that there are two Pennsylvanias? There really are. You've got the Pennsylvania of the city, you got the Pennsylvania of the rural area, and it's not that never the twain shall meet, but there is something in the middle there that we have to understand in looking at the greater good for all Pennsylvanians, right?
I used to joke that there's not one Pennsylvania, there's 6. I think I overshot it. There's more like 4. But, I mean, you even have, Democrats in Pittsburgh that would more align with Republicans in Philadelphia, or so there's not. It's a Commonwealth for sure, but it's geographic. And then you got the Northern Tier, which has its own, and the NEPA, as we call it, Northeastern Pennsylvania. Right. They all have their own idiosyncrasies, and then of course there's Philly and the Collar counties in the southeast, and Pittsburgh's got its vibe. So I mean, it's geographic and it's political, and sometimes the politics of one region is different than the politics of another, and sometimes the region, and I think this is true in Pennsylvania, sometimes the region binds people together, whether you're Republican or Democrat, versus straight party lines.
Right.
Some Republicans and Democrats in Pittsburgh have kindred and common interests that Philadelphians don't necessarily relate to. Far progressive left in Philadelphia is far different than any Democrat anywhere else. It is interesting, and to be honest, it is true. I know Governor Shapiro likes to continually harp on the fact that we're one of the only states with a divided legislature, and he's right. And these geographic divides further complicate. I mean, if you're Joe Pittman, the head of the Senate, and look, he can say, and I believe him, that I understand and respect what SEPTA does,
right,
and what the importance of mass transit in the Southeast. But, there's not much help for my district on this issue or that issue or that issue. He said this on the floor the other night. And now you're coming to me saying I got to, do something. I do believe the large majority of rural and outside of Philadelphia Republican folks are basically yawning at what people in the Southeast are screaming about as a crisis for SEPTA.
No, I agree with you. Hey, fascinating conversation. Any idea when we'll have some passage? Is there any breakthrough time here? Do you see anything on the horizon?
Well, you remember the old song, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between.
I got it.
That's apparently Governor Shapiro's mantra, because after the Senate came in and passed 2 bills that he absolutely abhors and can't stand, he said, I think we're making progress, because at least now the Senate is showing that it does recognize there's a problem with SEPTA, which I've been saying for a long time. So I credit the governor in trying to keep it positive, kind of.
Right.
And but he's saying, oh, this might be a positive thing. I think they all know the urgency. You know what I'm surprised at? It happened 2 years ago, and I'm surprised it hasn't become the new norm, and I'm still not sure it won't become the norm.
Right.
And that's what I just said. That is, we know if the budget's going to be $48 billion. We know 45 of it, nobody's arguing over.
Right.
Let the $45 billion go, get it out, push it out, and then we can fight over the other stuff later and deal with that in September and October, perhaps.
Let's see if they go that route in the long run, my friend. Hey, great that your jump shot was falling this morning.
It was.
We still need to come down and play a little golf here and get things figured out. You and I could probably solve most of the problems and get them off the table there so we can talk about sports each week, right?
I'm very excited. We had a big golf week in the Owens house last week. My son shot an 81 at Rich Valley to finish third in his youth tournament.
Wow.
At 13, that's not bad. And by the way, I've never shot an 81. In fact, I've never shot a 91. So let's go there. Yeah. And then my older boy is going to be a junior at Trinity. He made the golf team. So both of those last week. So both of those are exciting.
It is exciting. That's pretty cool to see your kids going that way. And you come down.
So my dream is to take you and me and those two, and it'll be you and me against them.
You come down. You got the open invitation anytime to Regis Glen, okay?
All right, man. Thank you.
Talk to you,
well.
buddy.
Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend. Take care.
Bye.
Dennis Owens here on the Gary Sutton Show. A little excitement there in his house.
I could hear that.
Yeah, but you knew his jump shot was falling. There was something extra going on this morning. I could sense it.
I think what happens is when you get to be a certain age, You're glad just to be on the court.
Yeah, I know, and in his case, he's getting a little age on him now. I mean, he's still a relatively young man, but I remember meeting Dennis when he was a sports guy at ABC. So we've been friends for a lot of years. Anyway, I'm playing, by the way, today in the member guest up at the Country Club of York with James Sanders and Larry Richardson, head of the YMCA. He's just retiring now, and so James is taking me up there today. So I got to perform. I'm feeling the heat.
Coming up next,
and not just the real heat. I mean the competitive heat today, Mark.
Coming up next,
you're going by that.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, we'll have to have a full report tomorrow on how you do.
We'll get that. And
coming up next, the song that Chris Markowski feared as bumper music.
Yes.
So
I'd love to hear again sometime. Is the Devil Went Down to Georgia?
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen today.
And you're like a Nazi when it comes to that stuff. It's one time
I'm
and
a
we're
purist.
out.
That's right.
And Mr. Authoritarian on the music.
As much as I like this song that's coming up next, I would have never used it as bumper music.
Okay.
But since he brought it up and he feared it, I thought, every once in a while, let's give the masses something.
Speaking of music, I don't know if you're aware, but Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are dating. But yesterday, she got on the Kelce Brothers podcast, and you will not believe what it did to the internet. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK at 7:51.
They whirl and they twirl and they tango, singing and jingling the Django, floating like the heavens. heavens above. Looks like muskrat
I like the Captain and Tennille versions. I actually, when Chris said Muskrat Love, I felt bad because I kind of liked the song. About two little muskrats, messing around.
I don't like the Captain and Tennille versions.
You didn't like that?
Not at all. The little. No,
I know. It was a simple little song, but Chris pulled that one out and jumped it hard. I mean, it was bad. Yes. By the way, speaking of music,
this is America.
It was America. It was a good version of it. Before Mark gets to his story here, and Taylor Swift. Yesterday, 1.3 million fans turned out to the Kelce Brothers broadcast, or the podcast, New Heights, live to watch Taylor Swift, and it broke the internet. It broke the internet. About 1 hour and 44 minutes in, the screen went black, and the New Heights social media account had to inform fans that they experienced a glitch and would be back shortly. Eventually, what happened was Taylor Swift go on and shut the internet down on the Kelce Brothers podcast. Eventually, order was restored, and the stream just got cut off is what happened. But there were 10 takeaways yesterday on the cover of the 12th album of The Life of a Showgirl, which was her new album coming out. It's available to pre-order on her site. There's also a limited amount of 4 different CDs, each with a different cover and accessory like a necklace or a keychain. She shared the 12-song track list, which includes a feature from Sabrina Carpenter, as well as the release date. It comes out October 3rd. And there won't be any bonus songs. Quote, there are no other songs coming. There's not a 13th. This is not the record this is the record I've been wanting to make for a long time, she said. She chose the color orange because, quote, it feels like kind of energetically how my life has felt. She said this album is about what was going on behind the scenes of my inner life during the Eras Tour, which was so exuberant and electric and vibrant. Taylor's goal for the album was to create, quote, melodies that are so infectious that you're angry at it, and lyrics that are just as vivid but crisp and focused and completely intentional. That's what she's trying to get at on the album.
I'm sure.
I'm tingling myself, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's just something about her music that
tell you what, she can merchandise it, though.
There's no doubt about it. And my complaint is just a musical thing. It's very repetitive.
Right.
Even though she, I think, on the other hand, has done a good job with producers to try to make it sound different genres. And she's done a good job with that.
And supply and demand definitely at work here. But, one thing,
she's
Mark,
a touchstone of the age group.
One thing that she's currently obsessed with, Mark,
what's that?
You want to know this. It was cats before, right? She's currently obsessed with making sourdough bread and says she talks about bread 60% of the time now.
Interesting.
She actually, the fact that anybody keeps track of how often they talk about one subject, 60% of the time about sourdough bread, I'm pretty much sure in my conversations, after 10%, it will be over.
Well, the album coming out is obviously big news.
Right.
But for video gamers, this was big news yesterday.
Madden NFL 26's developer blog says they focus directly on player feedback from last year's edition and will feature new AI technology that they say will enhance QB behaviors and coaching strategies. They promise player-driven storytelling in Superstar mode, new content and live events in Ultimate Team mode, new gameplay and impactful weather, amongst other things.
Whiteout conditions remain in effect as we are back for the second half.
All the mainstream current generation consoles and PC will get the release. Eamon Dignam, Fox News.
How exciting.
And finally, we want to thank AFL for sponsoring this hour. Accountability for Life. They mentor at-risk adolescents through a revival of the lost pathway of developing all kinds of strong traditional core values, like accountability, like manners, like helping kids be responsible for what they do. And I'll tell you what, Russ Stoner, the head coach over at York High, in the football program, is doing a great job with that. He started that. They have Accountability for Life at 755 Vogelsong Road in York. You can find out more about how you can help. Go to www.aflyorkpa.info. That's www.aflyorkpa.info, or call Coach Stoner at 717-577-0306. Corey Thurman pitched for the Revolution for 8 years. Unbelievable. He lives in the area now. He's up next as a guest here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK at 8:05. It's time for news, 8 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here at Wellspan Park, the Brooks Robinson Plaza on a, Thursday morning. I got it. The 14th of August, 2025. 72 degrees out there. Just ran into Sean Potts, who took over as coach at Central a few years ago. Scott Wenger went down, and what a great guy. He was out doing his walk this morning, and he said, "Hey, I listened to you guys." He said, "You guys are doing a great job. I really enjoy it." He said, "What time's your show start?" And I said, "Well, 6." You know, he tuned in and kind of caught it. He said, "You guys are fun." He said, "We really enjoy that." And then I saw Sarah with the Rebs over here, who's our chief person here, and she said, "I heard you and Mark just on the radio talking about Taylor Swift." She said, "Are you a Swiftie?" I said, "Not really." She said, "Well," I said, "but we try to be really hip. You know, we hit those kind of things." And she said, and she looked at me like, "Yeah, too late."
Keep trying.
I was
keep trying.
But I would ask her. I said, "You remember we had that Taylor Swift look-alike and sing-alike person?" She said, "Yeah, they weren't that good." I said, "Yeah, they weren't." But I said, "You made an effort." They were here the one night for a Revs game and singing, and I
remember you saying.
Yeah, it was painful.
It was not good?
It was painful. But no, they were good. I mean, they weren't that bad. I thought Sarah was kind of tough. She said they weren't that bad. I mean,
it's okay to be tough.
But they make a great effort here to have entertainment at the Revs, and they do a great job with it normally. I have a lot of people come here, and Sarah actually does something with their dog. They have a dog that she trains her dog.
Yeah, your little yippy thing.
No, this is not a yippy thing. It's a big dog. I mean,
I thought she had the little black dog.
No, that's Cindy has that.
I'm sorry,
and that's Potato. But this dog is a big dog. Yeah, potatoes. Once you get to know, you have to spend some time relating.
No,
like I do. You know, I spend time. I put my investment in there.
Oh, jeez,
I do.
Maybe they smell the cat on you.
No, they don't. I go over there. I love animals. They can tell, obviously they're still yipping at you, but, they love me.
I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry. I was probably giving myself a little more credit than I deserve. But no, Sarah actually trains their dog, and they come down and do tricks. And the dog's very talented.
Wow.
It pushes like a round thing down a way, and it does little stuff. It leaps over her back over top of this, does all kinds of things.
Dogs are generally smart.
They are, but they still have no thumbs, so they're still down the food chain on,
Cats might be smarter, but we'll never know.
My cats are smart. They tell me that all the time. But I think they're a little arrogant on my end. And
where'd they get that from?
Yeah. Anyway, this hour, the whole show is brought to you by Barley Snyder, attorneys at law. They have offices in Pennsylvania and Maryland. They have over 29 different areas they can help you in. 130 plus lawyers that do that job, and we've had them in here. We don't have all 130 in yet, but we're working on it with interviews every Tuesday here in our Lawyer Moment.
Well, here I am. Here you are. We're talking about dogs, and look who the hour is brought to you by.
Augie's Joint, where they make what? Hot dogs. They make, and I've had more people checking this out lately to test me on this. I think they make the greatest chili dog ever. Augie's Doggy. Augie's Doggy, Brent and his wife Jewel Fleming. I tell you what, they have a dog sauce, house onions, mustard, and cheese. And you still have not gone up there to try it out, which I'm a little disappointed about.
Cheese on I don't know. There's just something.
No, once you have it,
I'm sure.
I know the visual. Visual you're looking at, but the Mackenzian factor will come in. You will sit there and when you watch Mark eat, when he is testing something out, there is an eye roll, there's an eye close, there's a pondering, there's a meditation kind of factor to it.
Calling in all the senses.
He does, and he sits back and he says, "Give me a moment to myself, please."
What are the words?
And then he decides, and then once he decides, there's an accompanying analysis.
Yes,
that it's
true,
and it's fun to watch. It really is. So if you went up to Augie's,
some people think it's irritating.
I've heard that, but no, I would not be one of them. I would not. I am one who appreciates the analysis.
Anyway, what's the
Augie's joint?
What's a special one?
I don't
this
have
week?
any specials this week. They have no specials out for me this week.
Oh no!
So I added some. They have the classic cheesesteak up there, which is ribeye steak, fried onions, and cheese. And I mean, I tell you, it's really good. I've had that. I've had the Augie's doggy. I've had the Augie's burger. They have an Augie's burger, which is 2 burgers, Mark, with the whole Augie's sauce on there, fried onions, house sauce, pickle, and American cheese.
That sounds good.
It's very good. No, it really is very good. They've got the classic burger with cheese, lettuce, tomato, ketchup, mustard, and mayo, all in one fell swoop. They've got Lori's V-Dog with pepperoni, Lori's sauce. Lori V's has pizza with the Utica pizza sauce and all that. Well, they have like this.
No.
Yeah, it's good. No.
No.
Pepperoni and provolone and Lori's
on a hamburger?
Sauce. On a hamburger. On a dog, actually. On a dog. No, it's on a dog.
Okay. Oh, on a hot dog.
On a dog. You could make a go of that. They've got all kinds of things up there. By the way, check them out. They're open 10 to 2, Tuesdays through Saturdays. They're there today. The market's open today, but they're open anyway. Go in the Beaver Street side, and they have been a frenzy at lunch. And they told me, Brent told me the other day, Augie, said, hey, man, I love your listeners. They're all different shapes and sizes and people and young and old. And he said they come in here and they ask about the Augie dog. So we're making a difference. I like to think we're working toward world peace. We're getting people out there to Augie's every single day. Stop in there 10 to 2 today. Come in the Beaver Street side of the market. It's the easiest way to get in there, and Augie's is right inside the door.
So I can't wait to hear this next guest.
Our next guest is a guy that I have known for a number of years. When I did the Revolution back here in, and you can see we're ringing a bell for him. When we did the Revolution here in 2007, 2009, Daryl and I got started. I got a chance to meet this guy. He's pitched to the major leagues. He pitched for the Revs for 8 years. He was a part of the Revs organization. He's still one of the most beloved guys. He's in their Hall of Fame. He is Corey Thurman, and he joins us this morning, and still the most enthusiastic guy I think I've ever met in my life. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Sutton? How you doing, man? Can you guys hear me pretty good?
I hear you pretty well, my friend. It's great to have you on. I would say it would be fair to call you Mr. Rev. You were like one of the mainstays of this organization back. I remember 2007, 2009. You were here. You were pitching for a long time, and you made York your home, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's like I came here in 2008, and then the first month I met my wife, Angela. You know, she's a Central grad, and I met her, and I never left. So, you know, I had a York County lady sit up here and keep me here, but it was good because, you know, I was able to play baseball and do the things that I love to do, and I love York County, and I tell her all the time, man, I'm not leaving. Where we live now, this is where I want to pass away, do my whole thing, because I love this area so much.
Corey, where were you from originally? I never did ask you that.
I was born in Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, on the Army base in Fort Gordon, but I'm originally from Texas. All my family's from Texas. It's called Texarkana. That's where I graduated high school at Texas High School in Texarkana, where I got drafted out of, and then, you know, I got drafted by Kansas City out of there, and then next thing you know, I get over to Toronto and make the big leagues with Toronto, and then I was looking to try to get back in after shoulder surgery those couple years I had up there in the big leagues. You know, we're talking 23 years ago.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, after shoulder surgery, I come here after trying to fight through the minor leagues a little bit and organized, and then I came here, and like I said, I found a home.
You became, I would dare say, one of the most beloved Revolution guys. And in those days, you stayed with the Revolution for a while. You stayed with these Atlantic Leagues for a while because, and now it's not like that. I mean, guys are here for like a year, they're in and out, but you stuck. I remember Jason Espedo and guys like that made home here, right? So what was it about York that kind of, that made you kind of hang on with them and stay here and become maybe one of the most beloved revolutionary guys that we ever had here?
It was one of those situations to where, you know, you come here and you play, you see the homely feel. It feels like Texarkana to me, you know, where I grew up. and then you come here, and then I can play baseball and still do what I need to do and still try to have a chance to get back to the major leagues. Never happened. And, I played winter ball in Venezuela and Mexico and different things, but it never happened to get back because, most people don't want a right-hander who's only throwing 86 miles an hour, at top, and that happens. But, I was able to come here, and pitching is an art form. And so I was able to do that here and able to sustain my career and play until I was 37 years old, man, which the thing is that if you can do what you love and still get paid for it, you're not working a day in your life.
You are a guy, and you just mentioned it, you were an artist. And I've heard a lot of people describe you that way. 86 miles an hour, that doesn't get you in the door to major leagues now. You look at these flamethrowers going at 98, 97, 96, 95 or 94, I guess is the average amount you throw as a major leaguer. But you're a guy that got people out, and I think people love to come and see you pitch because you're thinking the way you played, the way you pitched, the different array of pitches you had. They were fun to watch. Talk about that and what that mentality looks like.
It was great coming up in the era that I came up in because it was like the Greg Maddux era. You didn't have to throw 95 to get people out. You just had to pitch and be an artist. And people look back on that and like Greg Maddux is a Hall of Famer not because he threw 100. He's a Hall of Famer because he learned how to pitch. And what do they call it in baseball? They call it painting the corners. Last time I checked, that painting is art. And so I always wanted to learn how to do that. And I remember watching him throw a bullpen, and Eddie Perez was over there catching him in spring training, and he didn't move the glove. And I said, I want to learn how to do that. I want to learn how to not make the catcher move the glove. If he puts the glove where it's at, that's where I want to throw it because that's where he wants it. And that's what I think art is when it comes to the game. I think we're getting back there. The same thing like with the stolen bases and the game's getting back to that old school field of you pitch and then because anybody now, they can hit the 100 now because these kids are grooved to be able to hit 95 now because that's all they see. But 95 down the middle does you nothing. I'd rather take 88 on the corner and give me a ground ball and give me a double play and save my pitch count.
We're going to take a break. I want to come back, and I want to ask you a little bit about how the game has changed, what you're seeing, and what you're doing now, because you're helping kids now. I want to talk a little bit more with Corey Thurman when we come back, one of the most renowned Revs that we ever had here in York, and still lives here in the community, and he's doing some things now to help out his community over in the Central York School District. We're going to talk to him more when we come back about some of the things that have changed since he started back in 2008 here in York, and what he sees in the game, the positive things, the negative things, and what he's doing for kids. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It's 817.
was a young man, he never thought he'd see people stand in line to see the boy King Tut.
So is that kind of like rapping a little bit?
Yeah.
But with, of course, Steve Martin there, 80 years old today.
And he was doing the King Tut song. King Tut was the mummy that was found in Egypt, a 13-year-old king, and they had a tour.
Yes.
They took all his stuff out on tour around England and the United States and so forth, and King Tut exhibit, and he comes up with this song, King Tut.
Yes.
Which was really kind of a witty song.
Magic Johnson, 66 today. Rusty Wallace,
Wow.
69. I believe she is an Oscar winner. Halle Berry, 59 today. Dash Crofts. If you ever wondered, it was Jim Seals and what was Crofts' first name? It was Dash.
Dash Crofts.
Dash Crofts of Seals and Crofts, a lot of 70s hits. He's 85 today. Susan St. James, remember her?
I do.
She's 79
She
today.
was in Rock Hudson, and she was in this series.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
What was that series called? Do you remember?
Not Rock for Five.
No. It was McMillan and Wife.
That's it. Good job.
There.
22 years ago on this date, 2003, 50 million Americans lost power in a blackout that hit northeastern U.S., actually also part of Canada.
New York City, didn't it?
Yes.
And 9 months later, there were a lot of babies born.
I think that it hit around here too, but this is the one. This is the one in 2003.
Right.
And it was 5 years ago on this date, 2020. Ted Lasso premiered on Apple TV+.
There you go. All of that. Back with Corey Thurman right now, who was with the Revs here for 8 years, an outstanding pitcher and artist. And Corey back with us here on the Gary Sutton Show. Corey, you own a lot of records here at for the Revolution. You look down the record book, and I was looking the other day. There's Corey Thurman's name time and time again in pitching. What was the mentality? I think a lot of people watch baseball, and they think of the mentality. What goes through these guys' minds? How do they deal with pressure? If you don't have the big fastball, what do? You said you learn how to kind of become an artist, tickle the outside corner. I talked to Dave Johnson one time, used to pitch for the Orioles. He's a friend of mine, plays some golf. And Dave told me, he said, I always tried to think about what the batter wasn't thinking or what the batter was thinking about in the moment, and I did the opposite. Did you have that kind of thinking? How do you do that? Yeah.
Yes, sir. That is exactly what it is. It's like you always try to stay at least one step ahead. And I always, like, with coaching the kids now here and doing my thing, it's more about teaching them how to think when he's going to do this. Try to think 2 pitches ahead. If this happens, then what's going to happen? And that's how I always thought. And everyone always watched me pitch, but in my mind, I'm always thinking about something. I'm not thinking about the pitch I'm getting ready as though I already thought about that pitch. I'm thinking about, all right, this is an 0-1 count. I'm probably going to have to get him out. He's going to foul off a couple, but how am I going to get him out 2-2? And that's what I'm thinking. And so then you set the 0-1 pitch up to the 0-2 pitch. Now, if you get the out earlier, you'll take it. But then you want to see what happens and see if he makes an adjustment. Now, the one thing I've learned that when you come down to it, if someone doesn't make an adjustment, keep throwing it. It was like when we were in that championship series with Lancaster, and I had to pitch that game 5. And it was one thing that I kept throwing the changeup, but they never made an adjustment. I just adjusted my location. And then I just kept throwing it. And what did I throw? Like 8, 9, or 10 changeups in a row. We got 3 strikeouts. That doesn't happen too often because people usually make adjustments. But then the guys who make the adjustment, those are the hitters that I had to, like, really adjust on them. And then now they think you're going to throw the changeup outside, then I throw the cutter in, and then they sit up here and swing, and I get the out. I was already thinking about going back to the changeup 2 pitches later, but since I got the out in the cutter, I'll save it for the next at-bat. So that's what I learned coming up, especially from the great Roy Halladay, great late Roy Halladay, rest in peace, my man. He taught me a lot because he's a Hall of Famer because he had that mentality. He taught me a lot with the mentality, but he also had the 95-mile-an-hour fastball. That's what makes a Hall of Famer when it comes down to it. Can you think and stay ahead of the game? That's why I'm looking so forward to seeing what this game has for, like, Paul Skeens, because he's gotten hit the last couple of times, but he can pitch. he doesn't just throw 100 all the time. Right. He can pitch. And I just think with him, as he continues to grow as a pitcher, he's going to realize that he can throw 95 with location and then save the 100 for when he needs to blow someone away. And nowadays, being a young man as he is, he can just blow you away right now. But as you get older, you don't have that anymore. And so it's one of those things that you always try to think ahead. I'm always trying to think 2 to 3 pitches ahead. That's why, like, when I'm watching a baseball game now on TV, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this dude's just thinking about this pitch. And now he's just trying to throw his nastiest stuff right now, which he could already got this guy out, but now you're 3-2, and then now you have to deliver.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that why didn't he just get him out 1-2 with the slider, but he tried to blow him away? And so I'm more thinking about 2 pitches ahead to where I want to be done at 2-2.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Because you don't want to get to 3-2. I want to be done with it by then. So I'm always thinking from no balls, no strikes to 2 balls, 2 strikes. And then that last one, I want to try to get somebody out.
The mentality of being successful. I coached basketball, as you know, for like 45 years. And
yes, sir.
We had some pretty good success. But one of the things that I always used to say is there's 2 A's, attack and adjust. And you just you just described it as well as anyone I've ever heard about. You are attacking with what you know, and then you adjust to what you don't. But one of the things I know Darryl and I talk about when we do our games is this idea of throwing strikes that aren't strikes. You want to get the batter thinking it's a strike, and then it leaves the table. It goes somewhere else, and all of a sudden you're swinging it air. You are a master at doing that. How do you do that? And you know, you said pitching ahead in the count, staying ahead in the count all the time. That if pitchers are getting behind the count, they're going to get hit sooner or later,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir. That's the count that I love the best is the 1-1 count, because the 1-1 count dictates a lot, because that's the biggest discrepancy in batting average. As a pitcher, if I go 1-2, the hitter usually hits under 200. If I go 2-1, he'll hit over 300. So you get that difference. So I'm trying to get to that 1-2 spot to where I can throw a strike to make it look like a strike, but it actually is a ball. And then every now and then when you're throwing strikes, especially back in the day, now with the automated strike zone, it's a little different, but a lot of these umpires back in the day, if you're throwing strikes, they'll give you that 4 to 6 inches off the corner, whether it's in or out. Now you just got to, and that's why I did my study a lot on umpires. So, like, when we go into a game, I know I'm pitching the 3rd game in the series. That umpire is going to be over at 3rd base. So when he comes to first base tomorrow, I want to see what he's doing, because I know what he calls. Then I know, okay, this umpire right here is a tight zone umpire.
Wow.
Okay, cool. I got to really attack the zone early with stuff that's going to drop down and look like a strike so I get the hitters to swing. When I had an umpire who was a little more liberal, then I can expand the corners and then go up and down and east and north and south, east and west.
Wow.
And so you always try to keep people, like, you know, nowadays they call it putting them on skates, keeping them moving back and forth, keeping them off balance. So that's what we were just talking about. When you make that adjustment and you foul off the ball outside, now I can beat you with 84 inside because you're leaning out over the plate, because I've been outside for the last 2 at-bats. Now all I got to do is just be right on the corner, and then I can get the call. But then next thing you know, you got a guy that really likes to pull the ball. Well, I'm going to let you pull it foul 3 times, and then I'm going to go outside and get you to roll over to shortstop or second base and trust your infielders. That's the one thing a lot of these kids nowadays, the strikeouts are so huge. You have to trust your fielders. You know what I mean? There's 9 people out there for a reason. You have to trust everyone. And your catcher, the pitcher-catcher relationship is so big. A good catcher can help a team win a championship. A bad catcher can sit up here and wreck your whole season.
Wow.
And so you got to build that relationship with your catchers. And that's why, you know, back in the day, you know, with the Braves, I talk about Greg Maddux. He always threw to Eddie Perez. You know what I mean? He never threw to Javi Lopez. You know what I mean? And he never wanted to, because he and Eddie would work, and no matter if Eddie hit or not, it didn't matter if Greg was getting those outs.
I'll tell you what.
They're not scoring runs.
You just gave one of the most brilliant talks on how to pitch that I've ever heard. You and I are going to be getting together regularly each week, maybe right about this time. And you're doing a lot of other stuff too. But today it was the art of pitching, and a lot of people are into baseball right now. And here at the stadium, I mean, obviously you made a name for yourself. But I'm looking forward to talking to you each week a little bit. What do you say, partner?
Yeah, I'm in for it, man. Just let me know,
I got
just
it.
give me a heads up, and then, I'll be ready to go because this is a good time in the morning for me because, like, with the kids going to school, my wife teaching and stuff like that, this is a perfect time in the morning for me.
You're all ready to get out there and start and get on that mound again, right? So we'll gab next week, same time, same place. What do you say, Cor?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Talk to you then. Thanks for joining us today. Great stuff. Really appreciate it. Corey Thurman, how'd you like that for going inside the mentality of pitching, Mark? I mean, I learned...
Yeah, it was interesting.
A ton of things there this morning, but he's doing a lot of other stuff too. He's on the school board. He's living in the community. He's helping kids. He's going to talk about that each week. So Corey's going to join our stable of people here that we have, and looking forward to hearing from him each week on different topics that come up. We'll take a break.
This hour is brought to you by...
And this hour is... You know what? If I don't say that, I'm going to get in trouble. It's Augie's Joint. Augie's Joint is right up here at the Central Market, just inside the Beaver Street side of the Central Market. Open 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every single day, Tuesday through Saturday. The only day they're not there is Monday and Sunday, okay? So stop up and see them and ask them about the Augie's Doggy, the greatest the greatest chili dog ever, and maybe some of the greatest cheeseburgers too. And also you can ask about the bison burger. They've got that there as well. Great array of sandwiches, great lunchtime place, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday. Augie's Joint, just inside the Beaver Street side of the Central Market. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Aaron Anderson right around the corner here on the Gary Sutton Show.
I could grant you one wish. I wish you could see the way you kiss. Ooh, I love watching you, baby, when you're driving me crazy. Ooh, I love the way you love the way you love me. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
Is this Britney Spears?
No, Faith Hill.
Was it Trish Yearwood?
Faith Hill.
Was it Faith Hill?
It was Faith Hill.
Thank you.
She had a couple of years where she really had lots of mega hits, and this was one of them, The Way You Love Me.
She also sang the Sunday Night Football song, didn't she?
This is from 2001, so it's going to be our last bumper song from that year.
By the way, this hour being brought to you by Augie's Joint. And they do have a special this week, by the way. They do have a special. This week's special hot dog is the sausage dip hot dog. Now, check this out. It's a hot Italian sausage dip with Rotel and cream cheese topped with crushed Fritos. Talk about busy. They also have the spicy Hawaiian burger, which is a burger topped with grilled pineapple, jalapeno, pineapple jam, red onion, Swiss cheese, and peach hot sauce from Sweet Mama's Hot Sauce, located in the new York Central Market. Yeah, it's all right there. So those are the two specials this week. Now, you can stop over there 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and have one of the great lunches of all time. And Jewel will be smiling at you. Augie will probably have his back to you, Brent, but he talks the whole time. And Elijah is there cooking with him as well, doing a great job making some of the best sandwiches you're ever going to have. What a great place for lunch. And it's just stocked every day with people. People coming in there of all kinds who want to check out all those things, plus the best chili dog that you're ever going to have. And a lot of it has to do with a great bun. They have it all right there at Augie's Joint. So do we have Aaron with us this morning?
We do not.
We don't have Aaron Anderson.
He's not there.
Ladies and gentlemen, what are we going to do?
I don't know what the deal is.
It's probably time to shut the show down right here. But no, Aaron, I tell you what I bet he's doing. It's the first week of school over there at Logos, like it is for so many right now, where teachers are back and all that kind of thing. And so there you have it. But one of the things that we could talk about this morning, the eastern half of the United States is having its muggiest summer since 1981. They have shown now with going back in the records. We're well into summer now, obviously. So how's it going? Have you been feeling like you spend every day walking through someone else's shower steam? If so, there's a reason for that. The eastern half of the United States is having its muggiest summer since 1981. That stretches from the Mississippi Valley to the East Coast, and 22 entire states, plus Washington, D.C., have set at least 44-year highs. Dew point temperatures are a measure of how much moisture is in the air. And they have soared to sauna-like highs. And yes, scientists say it's an effect of climate change and fossil fuel pollution. Corn sweat is also a factor. Never heard that.
What is it?
Corn sweat. You have to look that up.
No, never
corn
heard
sweat.
of that.
Never heard of it. This has also been the second most humid summer for the United States as a whole, dating all the way back to 1981. And the average dew point temperature for June and July has slowly risen throughout the past 4 decades. But this summer has been particularly bad. And here are some things that weren't around, by the way, in 1981, the last time it was this humid in the United States, in the eastern United States. These things were not around when it was this humid in 81, Mark. Here you go. 81, by the way, was the year my daughter was born. What was not around then were Cabbage Patch Kids. They weren't around. CD players were not around yet. Runts Candy was not around.
Thank God.
Rollerblade inline skates were not around. Diet Coke was not yet around in 1981.
Tab.
And ciabatta bread, which was first baked in 1982, was not around in 1981.
Love ciabatta.
In all seriousness, I mean, this humidity can be dangerous, especially for older folks. So stay hydrated, okay? Really, humid heat cancels out the benefits of sweating and puts a much higher strain on the body. This leaves people much more susceptible to heat exhaustion and heat stroke because it's harder for your body to cool down. So be careful. Stay out just for short times. Stay hydrated. Find shade. Do all those kind of things I do every day.
So according to Microsoft Bing, the browser, the Microsoft browser, and their Copilot answer, which is their AI.
Right.
Corn sweat refers to the moisture released by corn plants, which can significantly increase humidity levels in the surrounding air.
Wow.
So if there are a lot of cornfields,
well, and you got August corn up right now.
Right. So an acre of corn can release 3,000 to 4,000 gallons of water vapor daily.
Wow. That's amazing.
Adding that to the localized humidity, and the process occurs as water evaporates from the plants, combining with the water molecules already in the atmosphere, and then it can make hot days feel even more oppressive. And overall, corn sweat plays a notable role in the humidity experienced in agriculture regions. And of course, we have a lot of cornfields around here.
And probably a farmer who grows corn is sitting there going, I knew that. You guys didn't. But, a lot of people don't know that. I never do that before. And,
right.
I've been around here for a long time. And so there you go.
I love learning something new. Let's talk a little bit more about health.
This is House Call for Health. Walking more and faster can greatly reduce your risk of major heart issues. Researchers looked at more than 36,000 people with hypertension. They found that if they walked more and amped up the speed, the risk of stroke, heart attack, and heart failure decreased. And hitting the benchmark 10,000 steps isn't necessary. Researchers found starting at 2,300 steps a day, for every 1,000 extra steps, they had a 24% lower odds of stroke. The study was published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health, I'm Monica DeLuca.
So I've been hitting these 10,000 steps a day for nothing? Are you kidding me?
Well, not for nothing,
Well,
but it's
I'm
not,
just saying.
it's something that's targeted.
I know.
You need to quicken the pace.
I wanted the celebration on my wrist there. I wanted the fireworks going off. I love that.
Well, I'm sure they're going to tweak that and
anyway,
and let you know.
They do say it's important to take time out each day to reflect on something you're grateful for. In related news, an Air France pilot recently made an emergency landing to save a woman's life. And on her way out the door, she flipped him off. Gave him the number one sign.
Well, maybe she was delusion.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not clear what kind of health issue she was dealing with or where the flight originated, but the plane was over northern Canada when it made a sharp turn to the right and headed for an airport in Newfoundland. A passenger shared 2 clips of the pilot coming on the PA system to explain the situation. First, he says they're making an emergency landing, and you can see paramedics waiting on the tarmac when they land. Then they take off again, and he comes back on the intercom to tell everybody what happened. He says they saved her life, but she was a bit angry when they took her off the plane and, quote, gave us the finger on her way out. We're guessing she didn't think she needed a doctor, and she really hates Newfoundland. I don't know which one of the two. But multiple people in the comments said they wish airlines would normalize pilot gossip on the PA. Another joke that flight attendants are usually the ones who serve the tea.
To normalize?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I guess they want to hear it.
Oh, they want to hear the pilot discussing.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all for flying Spirit Airlines, but today I had the spicy Southwestern omelet before I left. So I'm just going to warn everybody in sections through...
Yeah, you people in first class are going to have a problem today. But, the other part about that I don't need to hear is, what's the matter with that? That gauge isn't working.
Well, he's not going to say that, but I mean, giving us an explanation as to, what they're doing. Well, there's a passenger that is sick. Okay, well,
Yeah, right. Well, when they start talking about stuff like that, like that gauge not working or whatever, that translates to me as broken plane. Broken plane. Yeah, that's anything that's not right on a plane. See, for me, everything on the plane's got to be working right.
All right. So let me ask you, did you ever have a job?
Go ahead.
Where you were entrusted with something and, it was worth there was a lot of money involved, maybe gold or diamonds or something, and. I obviously I don't think it
and
ever
you fouled it up.
Well, not fouled it up, but like thought about if I was a criminal, had a criminal mind, I could just take this stuff and run. And then what would I do? I would go to another country or another city, and plot this life of crime, or at least, crime of opportunity where you had a job.
No, I never did.
Right. And I think that most people don't. But, if a crime does happen, who's the first person they're going to look at? The employees, right? Right.
Trayvon Jackson, Brian Wallace, and Deshaun Hughes Murchison are charged with robbing a Brinks truck outside a Philly Home Depot. Prosecutors say two of them followed a Brinks driver down an alley while armed with AR-style rifles. They forced him to the ground, then took the keys to the armored truck. Those two took off in a rented Hyundai while they were followed by a third man in another vehicle. Investigators say there's surveillance video of Wallace returning the Hyundai and getting into that other vehicle. And Brinks said Jackson was an employee until he was fired following an internal investigation. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Yeah, so we're being a former employee. It's
not good.
No, it's not good.
When we come back, Gen Z TikTokers are saying checking out of a hotel is an old person thing. Au contraire. So we're going to find out a little bit about what they're talking about there. And then the top 5 everyday activities the rest of us do that Gen Z TikTokers think make us old. We'll share some of that.
And everybody knows about Chat GPT, right?
Absolutely.
Is that the most famous AI?
I think so.
Right. There's a brand new version out. We'll detail some of that next.
Well, there's a load off. Can't wait to see what that's all about. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it's 846.
The day of days for America and her allies. Crowds before the White House await the announcement from the president that the Japs have surrendered unconditionally.
I have received this afternoon a message from the Japanese government in reply to the message forwarded to that government by the Secretary of State on August 11th. I deem this reply a full acceptance of the Potsdam Declaration, which specifies the unconditional surrender of Japan. In the reply, there is no qualification.
Reporters rush out to relay the news to an anxious world and touch off celebrations throughout the country.
Can you just imagine?
Jubilant. And in Chicago,
what it was
more
like.
than a million sing and dance in the streets. In the
Four
biggest celebration
4
the
years
city has ever
of
seen.
war and death and destruction around the world.
Right.
And
of course, VE Day had already happened. This was
in May.
VJ Day, a victory over Japan, which officially ended the war. And of course, the instruments of surrender were signed on the USS Missouri. Douglas MacArthur in charge of all that. So yeah, it was a huge day for America at that time, and of course the last world war that we've had, and hopefully the very last, but who knows? Anyway, we're talking a little bit about TikTokers, and of course we're all waiting to see what they think. But the checking out of a hotel is definitely more of a breeze than it once was. But there's an argument online about the proper etiquette. A Gen Z woman posted a TikTok of her walking out the door of a hotel and into the parking lot with the tagline, "Older generations. This is how you check out of a hotel. You just walk out." She was sending this to people like us, for example.
Right.
In the caption, she added, "The front desk doesn't need you to tell them you're checking out, and they don't need you to hand them your room key anymore."
Yeah, you need to have the app, and then you pay your bill that way. The question though is if what if you're not, a good customer and not out in time? What if you haven't paid your bill? What about those things?
Well, there's some other stuff, too, and I agree with you. That's a good point. That may technically be true of a lot of places, but people in the comments are calling this rude. One person says, as a former housekeeper, it makes our jobs a lot easier if you're polite and let someone know. Others say they let the staff know if they're leaving early, but not if they're leaving at the checkout time, because what's the difference? And others say they always give someone a heads up in the hopes that makes the process of cleaning all the rooms more efficient and possibly allows for the next person to get an early check-in that might help them out. So you think about others.
I would it's just considerate.
Some people say that you should always check out at the front desk and to get a receipt and make sure there weren't any additional charges. That's me. But that may be a bit of a boomer take, since most places leave a receipt at your door or have it sent digitally through email or an app. So I get that. But I like to check out face to face. I call me nuts, but it's the exclamation point to a stay. Okay, or if someone says, "How was your stay?" and you say, "Well, it was really good," or maybe there was something wrong. Maybe the shower wasn't as warm as you'd like, or whatever. Someone says they don't bother the front desk if they can check out in the app, and someone else said, "I try to check out, but no one's at the front desk."
Well, there's either no one, but not bothering them. That's a bunch of hooey.
Yeah, and then finally someone says, "Just let them know as you're walking out. It takes 10 seconds max." Quote, "Weird thing to feel like a bad, Anyway,
yes.
So here's something else. The top 5 everyday activities the rest of us do that Gen Z TikTokers think make us old. So I'm always interested in things that they think make us old because I care so much about their opinion. Yes. But here you go. Leaving voicemails. They said they think that makes you old. You leave a voicemail.
Yeah, I generally don't.
Do you ever have people who leave voicemails with you, and it's like the entire conversation they were going to have?
Yes.
And it lasts like,
yes.
Good, give it up. Or how about this one? Go to the office even though we're not feeling it. They think that makes you old because we go to the office. Oh, working, by the way, when you don't feel it. And these people would say, well, we just stay home. No.
That's ridiculous.
There are days you got to win ugly, and that's it. How about this one? Print boarding passes. Guilty. That's me.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm guilty. Make eye contact. They say that makes you old. I think that's a wonderful thing when you make eye contact with people and show them that you're honest.
Yeah, smile.
And you're having a conversation. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Base statements on facts, figures, and observations instead of vibes. Yeah. Ride a bike powered simply by pedaling. Have you seen all these bikes around now?
Yeah.
You can go around with the motors on,
Absolutely.
the scooters and all that.
Scooters, yes.
But how about just pedaling a bike to kind of work out? Drive to a restaurant and pick up our food. They think that makes you old.
As opposed to DoorDash delivering.
Exactly. Watch a TV series at a pace of one episode per week.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I'm a binger. I watch binges. How about this one? You only buy one version of a Taylor Swift album. I mean, that would make you old. So there you go. What TikTokers think make us seem old.
Let's check out. There is a brand new version of ChatGPT.
Oh, God.
OpenAI, the company behind the world's most famous AI chatbot, unveiled ChatGPT version 5 last week. They promised it would be something that would totally wow even the most prolific fan of the artificial intelligence. But the new version meant version 4.0 vanished, unlike previously when older versions were still usable, and people are feeling like they lost a friend. As for the new version, ChatGPT 5 is giving answers that users complain are less helpful, which would be counterintuitive. OpenAI now says they'll restore 4.0 for its paid tier users. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Interesting.
And like Chatbot 1 through 4, I think, started in January and go like every 2 weeks. But there you go.
Is that
it's
what it
going
is?
so fast. I mean, it seems like that.
Don't forget, today is National Financial Awareness Day. So maybe take stock of your stock.
Yeah, no, I watch that all the time.
National Tattoo Removal Day.
Big one. Yeah.
You have tattoos?
I do not.
Yeah,
and we
neither.
talked about that. We just and I don't have anything against someone who has tattoos. I just think that they get awkward sometimes, especially when they're specific to a moment in your life.
Like I suggest.
I love Sue, and you're with Carol.
I remember mentioning my father-in-law had he must have been a young man, and they did.
There was that night at the bar.
There was,
Yeah.
and it must have been a naked woman on his forearm. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Yes. And he didn't have it removed, but what he did was that somebody decided, well, why don't we put a swimsuit on this girl? And they didn't do the greatest job.
Okay.
Like you could tell, like maybe that
She was still naked.
was an add-on.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was a great guy, though.
By the way, I sat on a plane one time in first class.
Mm-hmm.
I was flying to, Los Angeles. Mike Tyson was sitting across from me on the plane.
Oh, really?
With his handler, the guy I was with him.
He had a face tattoo.
And he had that face tattoo. And I found myself looking at thinking, what possessed him that night?
You were trying not to make eye contact?
I tried. Yeah, I made sure I didn't make like you looking at me.
Really?
Hey, Mike, we're buddies.
No, I've got a wayward eye. I'm sorry.
Just me. I was looking out the window on your side. I wanted to see whatever. And no, I didn't mess around with Mike on that. But I'm just saying, I was sitting on the plane. Mike Tyson is there, and I'm thinking, what the hell were you thinking about with that tattoo on the side of your face? I just it's crazy.
Artistic, maybe.
Maybe I didn't ask him.
Yeah,
I didn't say, hey, Mike.
I'm sure that's what it was.
What's with that stupid tattoo?
And the food holiday for today.
Yeah.
National Creamsicle Day.
Yeah. Hey, thanks again to Augie's, by the way, with the food holiday there every day, Tuesday to Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Stop by and have a great lunch there today. They've got some great specials for you, and you can drop by, get that Augie's Doggy, or you get one of those great specials. Hey, ask them about the specials up there. Jewel, Augie, and Elijah are just cooking up a storm. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right up the Central Market on the Beaver Street side. Get on in there. Tomorrow, we got a great show planned for you. We'll check all the news out, and they'll have Jim McClure here tomorrow. We'll have Dr. Nick, who'll be here. Who doesn't want to hear that, right? And all of that going on tomorrow here on the Gary Sutton Show. Go Rebs tonight. Get a big win in LI. I'm Gary Sutton from Mark McKenzie. Have a great day. It's 9 o'clock.